This is quite different. Greetings, fellow travelers. I'm Stewie Dark of Invisible Lid, welcoming you to my neck of the woods. No, more like a part of my living room. I don't know. I've been thinking about doing one of these vlogs for a while now. And so here we are. Let me make sure I'm going here. Let's make sure we're going here. Am I going? Am I coming in clear? Sometimes the PlayStation does weird stuff. Anyways, yeah, I've been thinking about doing one of these vlogs for a while, and well, here I am. So this is me. I'm Stewie Dark of Invisible Lid, and you are in a part of my living room. I don't know, man. Times are strange. Things are weird. And I just thought I'd come in here, do one of these vloggy things, and kind of like, yeah, I have an intro on my channel that's like a million years old or whatever. And but I'm living in a different place, and things have been going on, and a bunch of creepy crap. And I thought, well, let's just do one of these silly things. So where do I begin? With what am I going to talk about? Somebody said, what's the topic going to be? I don't know. First of all, it's a little pixelated. I don't know why. Maybe it's my lighting, and I'm hella red. When look at how red I am. I'm a demon. Um, so I've been a gamer forever. I used to work in the gaming industry years ago, and whatnot. You could see I'm gray. Okay, so I'm 63 and a half. Some people say, how can you look young, dude? How can you be that? You're not, there's no way that, yeah, well, it's maybe a genetic thing, but also I think it's because I'm a non-smoker, I'm a non-drinker, and any herbal essences that I may have partaken of in my existence on planet Earth were way back like when I was a teenager in Blippity Bloop. This is not a PSA like don't do drugs. If anything, do tons of drugs when you're young, and then you'll see how lame that is. Later in life, you realize, oh shit, I can't think straight. Maybe it's because you have too many brain cells that were damaged. Anyways, whatever. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so 63 and a half. I was 15 years old when the Atari 2600 came out. And the Atari 2600 was like the hottest thing. Like right around that time, right before that was Pong. Okay? That's how flippin' old I am. Was Pong. Pong was in the arcades. Uh, I grew up, drugs are bad. Okay? Yeah. That's funny because Mr. Mackey's my favorite South Park character. Okay? Now you can go and enjoy the rest of your day. Okay? Uncle Fucker! Anyways, I digress. So okay, so originally my family came from a tiny place in Pennsylvania called Beaver Falls. There's a reference to it in The Sopranos. Crazy. Also, it was a sighting of a somewhat known UFO sighting. The thing that's interesting is that my Uncle Bob owned a mobile gas station on the main drag, and his gas station was right at the end of Beaver High, Beaver, Beaver, Beaver High's football field. Now, I'm not a sports guy. I'm more of an artist freak. Uh, I spent a number of years as an illustrator, a freelance illustrator, got in the gaming industry, blippity bloop. Anyways, also, because I'm hella old, and yeah, I said hella, because I'm hella old and I'm a senior citizen, I may be talking about stuff like this and blah, 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 and then suddenly I'll go, what the fuck was I talking about? I may completely blank out. It's not dementia or any of that kind of crap. No, when you get old, these things happen. It's like, where's my glasses? Where's my glasses? I can't find my oh shit, they're on your head, knucklehead. Anyways, going back to the Beaver Falls thing. So the end of the Beaver High football field thingamajiggy, the gate exiting was right next to my Uncle Bob's mobile gas station. We're talking like in the 50s, dude, or whatever. Early 60s? Whatever. Anyways, Beaver Falls is the hometown of football player Joe Namath from the Jets and Joe Montana from the San Francisco 49ers. I know that. And after practice and whatever, most days, Joe Namath would go through the gate, go to my Uncle Bob's mobile gas station, and put a nickel in the Coke machine and get a Coke. And my Uncle Bob, this is an old story my uncle used to tell me. My Uncle Bob would tell him dirty jokes. Okay. When I was like 1, we moved to Dover, Delaware. I have fond memories of Rehoboth Beach. And then when I was like 6, we moved to Cupertino, California for about 6 months until my family bought a home, which my mom lived in, my mom and dad lived in for the rest of their life, basically 50 years, 53 years. My mom passed away on Friday the 13th of 22. She would have been 96 if she lived two more months. And she died on Friday the 13th, and my mom's name, her middle name, was Elvira. Okay, whatever. So I basically grew up in San Jose, California. And a mile away from me back then, it's still there. It was the miniature golf. Miniature golf. What was it called? I don't know right now. A miniature golf place that had pinball and foosball and some arcade games in the very beginning. And I'm old enough to remember when Pong came out. I believe Space Race. I'm trying to think of what were like the very first ones. I know in that first group, it was Space Invaders and Asteroids right in there somewhere. Asteroids, Space Invader. I'm trying to think of something else. Berserk and all that stuff was like a couple of years later. And so, yeah, all the time going to the arcade when I was in high school, junior high, high school, even in my college days. Went to the Academy Art College. Now it's the Academy Art University in San Francisco. Yeah. And so I remember just popping tons of quarters down at the arcade and whatnot. And then in 77, the Atari 2600 came out. I'm pretty sure that was the first console. I know there was Intellivision and the ColecoVision and whatever. And the television had better games that were sports games than the shitty sports games on the Atari 2600. But they didn't really have a lot of other games that were really any good from what I gathered. I never had an Intellivision. And see, because Atari owned licenses for games like Asteroids and all of that. They had arcade games, and that's what made them more popular. Later on, Intellivision by Mattel started create M Network. Okay, Intellivision started making games for the 2600 because they would sell better there. Anyways, whatever. So yeah, I was 15 when the Atari 2600 came out. I think right around 85, my friend Scott got a Commodore 64. That was his first computer. He was an IT guy his whole life. My two friends, best friends in my entire life since I've known since I was 7 years old when we moved to San Jose. And I specifically remember on July 20th, 1969, it was a waning crescent moon. And I specifically remember as a 7-year-old who 10 days previous, I turned 7, looking out at the window at night. The TV's here. The sliding glass door to the outside world is over here. Up there is the waning crescent moon. And I'm like watching on the television as Neil Armstrong stands on the moon. Holy crap. And I looked up man, I still have that memory. Absolutely blows me away. And yes, we went to the fucking moon. The earth is a globe. Birds are not surveillance machines. Elvis died. The earth's not flat. Okay, whatever. Okay, so I have a specific memory. Awesome. I also grew up watching Twilight Zone, Star Trek, Outer Limits, Space 1999, and things like Get Smart and I Love Lucy and Hee Haw and whatever the fuck else, all that stuff. Back then, you had a cathode ray television. You were lucky if you had like a 24 inch. I don't know. We had like an RCA, whatever, color television, whatever. And you were lucky back then because it didn't cost money to watch television. No, you had an antenna on your roof and you had a channel changer. I still have one over there as an antique. I can't show you. It's plugged in. But, you had like 13 channels. Everything you could ever want to watch. Movies, TV shows, sports, news, movie of the week. And then all the reruns of Star Trek and Twilight Zone and I Love Lucy and Blippity Bloop and Skibbity Ma. You had public television. You had everything. And, because I lived in San Jose, the stations were in San Francisco. So you had a antenna on your roof and the antenna would turn to get that thing. There you go. Free. And then I remember like in the, I don't know, early mid 80s, cable television. It was like you were Richie Rich if you had cable television. And now, how much do people pay to watch their television? Hundreds of dollars. All these subscriptions. Okay, see, old people get to bitch about stuff. That's number one. Wait, we're taking a list? I don't know. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah, video games and all that creepy crap. So I had an Atari 2600. Holy crap. You know, it's funny because about a decade ago, I was in my mom's house in the garage, up in the rafters, and I found when my when Santa Claus brought me my Atari 2600. God dang, those elves are really smart. All the logistics and the circuitry and how they make all that shit out of a block of wood. I don't know. Anyways, up in the rafter where I've never looked before, behind my dad's Marine's sleeping bag from the mid 40s, holy crap, was my Atari 2600 mint condition box with all of the inserts. Holy shit breaks, dude. That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, so I even have that. Anyways, so Christmas time, birthdays, I'd get cartridges, la la la, buy cartridges. I worked at a bakery, made some money, blippity blue, blippity blop. Friend Scott got a Commodore 64. See, when you give me a microphone and a camera, I'm going to go on and on and on and on and on and on like that. My friend Scott got a Commodore 64. Holy crap. It's playing like Bard's Tale. What is this, dude? What is this? I'm like on my Atari 2600 playing Berserk. The humanoid must not escape. And he's like doing all this other stuff, Bard's Tale and blippity bloop and whatever. Holy shit bricks. So a couple of years after that, I think it was around late 85, 80. I'm not sure exactly the dates, but then he got an Amiga 1000, 2000. I don't know, man. He got an Amiga. And then I was like, holy crap, dude, what is this? And so I got an Amiga 500 and was playing games on there. And I specifically remember how difficult Shadow of the Beast was. Holy shit, that game's fucking hard. And other games like Fairy Tale Adventure, Bard's Tale 1 and 2, la 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 la. Until FTL, Faster Than Light, came out with what for me personally, in my memory, in my nostalgia, my number one favorite game of all times, and I don't care how great these games are now and how the graphics are so realistic, and the blood and the scaminy, that doesn't matter to me. My number one game of all these years is the original Dungeon Master, made by Faster Than Light, FTL. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is before Doom. This is before Wolfenstein 3D. Okay, Wolfenstein 3D, you could move your mouse and you could look. Well, wait, could you look up? No, you couldn't look up yet. And this is before that. Dungeon Master, you couldn't look up in. Grid-based dungeon crawling thing where you have 4 characters, and when you shoot an arrow, it goes down the hall and hits the monster down there. You had to write your maps out on grid paper. Yeah, old school. Yeah, we didn't have mini maps and all this creepy crap all you youngsters have of today. I'm such an old man. No, and I love Dungeon Master. Oh my God, that game was so great. After Dungeon Master set the bar, which was way, way up here, then you had games like Eye of the Beholder, 1, 2, 3, Westwood's Lands of Lore. All this stuff came out. Okay, I have to have some tea. I played all that stuff. Lands of Lore was on the PC. So I was on the Amiga for late 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, right around 90, started getting PCs. 186, 286, 486 throughout the years. So I was a PC gamer for 14 years. So as a PC gamer, like the camera is the monitor. Here you are, WSD, whatever, mouse, yeah, and there's the monitor, 1.5 feet from your head. After a while, I played tons and tons of games on there. Okay? Again, before I get into the gaming industry. So that was like in the 92 or something like that. And from then, I didn't really use my Amiga anymore. So let's see. I was on PCs, the PC gamer, until like late 2003 when I decided I want to get a console. The only console I ever had was the Atari 2600. I never had a Nintendo, a Super Nintendo. I never had PC Master Race. Exactly, dude. Uh, I never had a Genesis or a whatever or bleh. No, I never had any of that. And so I said, I'm going to get a flipping console. I'm sick of sitting in front of my monitor. I love being a PC gamer, but I want to sit on my couch. And yeah, I know nowadays you could just hook up your PC with a HDMI cable to your television. Okay, whatever, dude. But, for me, it was about I want to be on my couch. I want to be kicking back like everyone else, basically. Okay? So, for whatever reason, I don't know why, I bought an Xbox. Okay. It was fun though. It was great. And because I'm a dummy, I didn't realize I could just go to Blockbuster and rent games. Yeah, Blockbuster. Okay, Blockbuster. If anybody's like, look that up, Google, what's Blockbuster? Oh, really? Okay, whatever. I didn't realize you could rent games, and I was buying them. Holy shit bricks, what a dummy. So eventually, meanwhile, I'm still on the PC going back. I played all the Elder Scrolls. I played Arena, the first one, which absolutely sucked. It was crap. I played Daggerfall, absolutely sucked, crap. It was just the same old thing over and over. Yeah, we have the biggest world. Yeah, but it's just cookie cuttery, okay? And you had to have a patch, like literally, like every other day. The game was so buggy. It was shit. It wasn't until Morrowind came out that you were like, whoa, this is actually good. Holy crap. Loved Morrowind. Never fully completed it, but I got hella, yeah, I said hella, got hella far on that one. So I'm on the Xbox, and then for like a year, whatever, and then I see that Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion is releasing. Holy crap. Yeah, but it's only on the 360. Was it on the PlayStation 2 or whatever? PlayStation 3? I don't know. Probably not. It was probably, I don't think it was on the PC. I don't know. I could be wrong. But for whatever reason, I'm like, crap, I can't play that on my Xbox. I have to have an Xbox 360. So I sold the town I lived in also had an awesome video store too with an abundance. I'm thinking it's ending, but I'm sure you're saying with a great amount of video games that you could rent. Cool. Ian Son, Elemental P. Thanks for popping in, guys. Uh, and yeah, the camera makes you look fat. Right now, I'm 16 pounds overweight. 16. One, six. I can't do it. It's backwards. Used to rent N64 and PlayStation games. See, there you go. Right on. So I decided I was going to sell my Xbox and sell my Xbox games, which was stupid because I didn't realize that the 360 would have been backwards compatible. But I sold my Xbox, my controllers, and like the half a dozen games that I had on disc to some dude, made a little bit of money, like $100 probably, and then bought a 360. And I was playing Oblivion. Now, this is before these giant televisions that we all have now that we're spoiled with, that you can go out and buy one for like $300 now or whatever. Oxygen. So bought a 360, and I was still on my 27-inch JVC television. I also played Fallout 4 on that. Right? Fallout 4? Yes. And Skyrim on my 27-inch cathode ray JVC television. Okay, let me sidestep for a second. Do you know that all kinds of retro gamers now are hunting down the cathode ray televisions and paying money for those things, dude? I wish I had kept mine and just kept it in storage, okay? Because cathode ray is a totally different technology, and it was made for those games. If you hook up, okay, yeah, a bunch of things I could talk about. If you hook up a Atari 2600 now to one of these televisions, it's going to have like a ghosty image. Maybe somebody's done some kind of thing that you can put on your television now. I don't know. But a decade ago, I tried doing that. It was crappy. It worked, but it was like, God, it's like a ghost image. What the hell? Okay, see, I'm going to forget where I was. I'm going to forget where I was. No, 360. Okay, so I bought a 360 specifically to play Oblivion. And I was like, awesome. All right, cool. So I had the 360 for a few years or so until the Red Ring of Death happened. Hooray! All right. This is such a great console. Hey, thanks for popping in, checking out the stream. This is the first vlog I've done, and I'm talking about video games and a bunch of creepy crap. Kick back for a bit. This is me. Hello, hello. Okay, whatever. And yeah, it's all pixelated. I don't know. I guess the lighting in here is weird. Whatever. It doesn't matter. So had the 360, playing Oblivion. Awesome. Then some other things are coming out, blippity bloop. And then for the first time ever, I actually went to GameStop at the midnight opening thick of Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim. Never did that before. Never did it since. Of course, is GameStop still around? I don't even know. I think so. There's one close to me that closed down, so I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, Oblivion. So Red Ring of Death. Okay, Red Ring of Death. Crap, my Xbox is dead. I go online. Yeah, you're doomed, dude. You're fucked. Yeah. So I'm like, oh crap, I got to get another console. What did I do at the time? Instead of getting a PlayStation 3, I still had my PC, and it was a fast PC I had made by CyberPower PC, and it was kick ass. I was playing Divinity Sin 1, and I went back and was playing Morrowind and a few other games here and there, whatever. I remember finding online Tron 2.0 or whatever on the PC. Holy shit, that was awesome. I love that game. So yeah, Red Ring of Death, had to buy another console. What do? Do I buy a PlayStation 3? No, I buy another 360. Fuck. Oh, it's the Slim. Oh. Oh, Lord. Okay, so a few years later, early 2014, PlayStation 4, I go to the store, I'm looking at the Xbox One or whatever, and I'm like, man, I don't I see these dudes on the PlayStation 4 with this controller. I'm kind of like checking it out. Looking at the Xbox One, I'm like, God dang, it's like a brick. This huge fucking, God dang it, I'm getting sick of, man. I'm watching them. They're like, hey, dude, you want to check it out? I'm like, sure. I mean, I'm on a 360. One of the guys went like that. And he handed me the controller. As soon as he handed me the controller, I'm like, holy shit. Wow. Holy crap, dude. So it's like, okay, I'm getting rid of my 360 and gave it to my nephew along with Beatles Rock Band. Okay, the full box of Beatle Rock Band with John Lennon's guitar. I gave all that stuff to my nephew for his kids. They had fun. They're Beatle fans. So I'm trying to find a PlayStation 4. This is January of 2014. You can't get them. You can't get them anywhere. Nowhere. I go into stores and I scan. Eventually, I was able to order one on Amazon. And right around January 24th of 2014, sorry, got my PS4. And I was like, holy shit bricks. And I needed a game. And at the time, for whatever reason, Assassin's Creed Black Flag was a used copy. And I'm like, oh, it's like $15. I'm like, or whatever. So I picked that up. And that was the first game I ever played on the PlayStation 4. And I was completely like, holy shit, dude, why didn't I get a PlayStation in the very beginning? God dang it. At least I finally used some brain cells and got a PlayStation 4. Totally sold, totally blown me away, absolutely incredible. And at that point, 20, oh, in 2010, I bought my first giant television, a Samsung 52-inch blippity bloop. And I was like, holy crap. Did I play Fallout 4 on that? I don't remember. Anyway, so I had my big television for my PlayStation 4 and just absolutely blown me away. Absolutely incredible. So years later, whatever, la la la. I'm still on the PC, playing some games on the PC. I remember when Gloomhaven came out first, it was on the PC instead of the PlayStation 4 or whatever. And so I'm playing that on there and la la la. Okay, so eventually, a couple of years ago, like 3 years ago, my PC finally died. And I've been lazy and unmotivated to have another one built. And I used to do like comedy bits and some music stuff and all that on my tiny, minuscule, microscopic, way below on the UHF, way below channel 44 KBHK channel, way down there. And I was just like, yeah, I don't want to spend the money for a new PC. So I've let stuff go. I kind of let my website go, whatever. Haven't updated that in a couple of years, whatever. Anyways, the point is that when the PlayStation 5 was going to be available, I signed up for the lottery thing. And sure enough, I won the lottery thing and got in the waiting room at Sony day one to buy a PlayStation 5. Holy crap. And I was like totally nervous, and got in there and credit card and scan. Yes, buy, do, go, here's address, here, scan, yeah. And then next thing you know, bing, you bought a PlayStation 5. Holy crap, dude. I got it day one. That was rad. I remember I got off early when the FedEx person was going to deliver it. I just sat in my car out front waiting for the FedEx. I'm like, fuck yeah. So, been on the PlayStation 5 ever since. Not PC gaming, PlayStation 5. That's where I'm at now, and I'm sticking to it. There you go. All right, going back a little bit, mid early 90s. Well, so I graduated from the academy in illustration in 86. I was a freelance illustrator. Uh, I did nothing huge, okay, but I did like magazine editorial illustrations, um, different magazines here and there, book covery things, things like this, newspaper illustration, whatever, mostly magazine stuff. I did some trading cards, which was cool. Um, One thing in this is I don't, yeah, Stewie Dark. That's my stage name. That's not my real last name. And for just purposes of privacy, I don't want to get too personal because I do have books that have been published and things like this and that and this and this and that. And I don't know, whatever. I don't want to get too personal on this thing because I don't know, it doesn't make whatever. But I did illustrate, I will leave this one. I did illustrate a Clive Barker graphic novel. From that, you could probably figure out who I am. Okay, don't try to kill me. Don't try to kill me or steal my identity. Okay, illustration. I did freelance illustration for about 9 years. Briefly, I was married once to what later on the therapist uh, defined as a binge drinking alcoholic with psychotic tendencies. Unfortunately, at the time, when you're an artist, any kind of artist, a writer, a dancer, a filmmaker, a painter, an illustrator, whatever, if you're partnering with someone, this is my advice, partner with somebody that's like a banker or something of that nature. Somebody that's grounded. Okay. I was not. And this is going to end in a second. I was not. She was fired from every job she ever had. So it kind of fucked things up for me working in illustration. Eventually I had to get a regular gig, la la la. That lasted for a couple of years, and then I got more illustration work and then quit that and I was doing the illustration stuff. Blah. Early mid 90s, I got some gigs working in the gaming industry and for like a decade. And I didn't really have any digital chops, so it was kind of hard getting in there. So when I first got in the gaming industry, I was in QA, quality assurance. I know that's an odd term because in today's world, we have early access, pre-alpha for the masses. Basically, what you're doing is you're allowing the developers free QA. You're doing their QA for them. Okay. I don't subscribe to early access. I don't believe in that. I think it's a bunch of creepy crap. As a developer, develop your game, debug your game, release your game. And your game may need a day patch, because whatever. But no. So what happens is, yeah, it's an old time thing. Exactly, elemental P. Uh, so what happens is you or we, as you know, the colony of gamers, we're QAing these guys' product for them for free. That's bullcrap. Just wait till the game fucking comes out and then buy it when it's complete. Even then, most AAAs, see, I'm going to rant now. Most AAAs in today's world, most of the games I buy are indie developers. They're just better. They're more creative. For the most part, they're sound. But how many times have you bought a AAA game and it sucks? So much hype. Okay, one man's lie. Hello. Okay, things of that nature. Don't lose your track. Early 90s. I was working at Sega in QA. Sega was a very interesting place because Sega, okay, so in QA, you had to take a class and be tested on it for bug writing. Okay, they had a specific way that you would write your bugs. Frequently, when frequently, when the player does this, this happens when that. Occasionally, if this is da da da, then blippity bloop, bloppity bloop. It was very specific. You had to take a class on it. You had to be tested. If you failed, you had to take the class again. I didn't fail, whatever. But it was a very specific thing. And you didn't write bugs from your computer because you didn't have a computer. You had a Genesis. You had a Saturn. You had the consoles. And you'd have to wait in line or wait for an open computer in the QA bug writing room to write your bug. And so I only remember a couple of games I worked on, but I was there for a little while and I worked on like a Sonic 3 or something. And then I worked on Mr. Bones. That was a fun one. That was cool. And then some other Sonic game. And then, God forbid, I had to test Sonic Schoolhouse. Oh, God. It was a first person game for little kids to learn math and English or whatever. So you'd be walking in a school, different, you're in a school, you walk into a room. How many balloons do you see? Yeah! So this is in the days when you didn't have early access and all that creepy crap. No, you had to make the game, test the game, fix the game, release the game. The game is done. It works, right? So, but pre-alpha, in the credits, we had our credit in the end, our name in the games, whatever. But in the pre-alpha, we get to do whatever we wanted. So my credit was kill me now. Anyways, so I worked at Sega for a while, and then I got a job at the mighty Microprose. Okay, Microprose was one of the leading PC gaming companies, besides like Interplay and a few others. Microprose, before Microprose was Spectrum Holobyte. Spectrum Holobyte published Tetris. Okay, need I see more? So they acquired or whatever the name Microprose and all of the properties therefore in or whatever. Uh, but interesting, before I worked at Microprose, I bought Spectrum Holobyte games. I have Star Trek uh, a Final Unity. I remember playing that game before I even worked at Microprose. I remember playing like one of the sub games. That was awesome. Silent whatever, sub silent whatever. I don't know. I don't do sports games. I don't do racing games. I don't do fighting games. I'm into like RPG stuff, things like that. And so got a job in Microprose. And at first, because I didn't have my digital chops up as an artist, but the art department knew I was an artist. They had seen my portfolio, they liked my work, and they said, we want to get you in the art department, but not right now. So it took a year of working in QA before I got in the art department. And I was there for a number of years. And that was awesome. The best job ever. It was heaven. It was great. The people I worked for, everything, I can't say enough good things. Why do you have this? Why am I doing this? I'm not a Jedi. Okay? I'm not a Jedi. Uh, that's better. Okay, working in micros. I'm in QA. Let's see. So there were two stewards, Stewart. So even if I give you the titles, you still won't know which one I am. I worked on Ultimate Racing. I worked on a number of games. Well, wait a minute. The first game that I tested at Microprose was Star Trek Generations. Holy shit, dude. I'm a Trekkie from way back. I was like 5 years old or whatever when Star Trek 4, 5, 6, right in there, when Star Trek first aired, the original series. That's how hell old I am. Okay? I don't have specific memories, but I do remember seeing Star Trek, the original series, in its airing. I'm backtracking a little bit, which happens when you have a brain that's a pinball machine. Pinball machine, speaking of which, got a couple behind me. Uh, See, I'm going to lose my train of thought if I skip around like that. Oh, grew up watching Star Trek in syndication. Absolute Trekkie. I'm a huge Trekker. Trekker, whatever the hell, Trekkie. And I get it. The generation or two after are Star Wars. What do you call Star Wars fans? Starries? Warries? I don't know. Jedi. I don't know. But I get why the next generation or whatever after that grew up with Star Wars, that's your, I hate to say it. Is this sacrilegious? I don't know. That's your Star Trek. Look, if there wasn't Star Trek, would there have been a Star Wars? I mean, even George Lucas says Star Trek completely influenced him to do Star Wars. Anyways, Star Trek, Star Wars, yeah. So yeah, I grew up with all that kind of stuff and Planet of the Apes and whatever. Anyway, so working at Microprose, working on Star Trek Generations. Holy crap! As a Trekkie, I get to work on a Star Trek game, dude. Oh wait, and you're paying me money? Holy shit bricks! Ah, oh, top of the world. Years ago, that even till today, I thought he was influenced by Dune. He probably was, dude. Totally. I don't know the history of George Lucas. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure, but I'm sure that he was a teenager watching Star Trek, right? I mean, he must have been there. Star Trek has to be in there. I don't know. And also, you can refer to the Twilight Zone. Gene Roddenberry was quoted, who gave the eulogy at Rod Serling's funeral, as saying it was Rod Serling's Twilight Zone that heavily influenced him to do Star Trek. Okay, I digress. So, QA, Generations, holy crap, I'm working on a Star Trek game. Wow. I have such great memories of that. Doing the what we used to call it when you worked over crunch time, crunch mode, crunch time. Ordering pizza for dinner. It was either pizza or Chinese food. I got sick of Chinese food and pizza. Holy crap. What a dream come true. Exactly. Dude, it was incredible. It was the best time of my life. Everything else since just pales in comparison. There's some other things I did in life that were cool, but that was the best. So, okay. So after Generations, I became a lead. I led an XCOM game. I led another game and another game. And then after a year of being in Microprose, I got put into the art department. And at that point, it was like, finally. At first, of course, I was technical art. So I was not actually creating the models or the textures. I worked on Falcon 4. I was applying textures to models. Textures that were already made, models that were already made. And I was also assigning weapon slots to the tanks. But I did take textures and then altered them for the destroyed building versions of the whatever. So I was doing that, and after a little while, I'm trying to think of the timeline here, and I'll try to end this whole thing in a minute or 5 minutes. Falcon 4. At some point, we released the game, and the game took 4 years to work. To finish. 4 years. Falcon 4. 4 years. Holy crap. But it was great working on that. And Christian was my lead, teaching me how to do stuff. We used Multi-Gen Creator for the modeling, Adobe Photoshop for texturing, and it was awesome. And I was learning how to model. So I became a modeler. And by the time Falcon 4 was released, my modeling chops were good. And so I created new tanks for the DLC that they were going to be coming out with. Okay, right around that time, unbeknownst to me, Microprose was hurting financially. And we went up for sale. It's funny, years later in 2013, we had a company picnic, and which we'd never had before. Well, we had one when we were still working there. Anyways, I digress. And I found out from Kip, the legal guy, that the day that Hasbro Interactive bought Microprose. The day they bought it, that morning, Kip was filing for bankruptcy. I never knew that because I always hated Hasbro Interactive, a board game company buying us. They kept us alive for a year and a half or so. But when they bought Microprose, we had 8 studios, one in the UK, one at, I guess, North Carolina is where Hasbro was. I can't really remember right now. There were 8 different studios, including the one in Alameda, California, where I lived and live. I used to ride my bicycle to work in the gaming industry. Holy shitbricks. So Hasbro Interactive bought us, and we're not going to mess with blippity bloop, scubiny. However, one by one, over the next year, they started closing all of the other studios, except for the one in, God dang, I keep saying North Carolina. I don't know if that's it. It's on the tip of my tongue. Here. No, still don't know it. Anyways, that one and Alameda were the last 2. They kept us going. Okay, wait, I digress. So, yeah, pinball machine. So after Falcon 4 and then the Falcon 4 DLC, I got moved into another department, art department for creating concept drawings, man, okay, for a game we were working on new games, and we were working on Masters of Magic 2. Masters of Magic and Masters of Orion were 2 really big hot sellers for Microprose. I never played either one, but those still have a huge following. And from what I gather, Masters of Magic, a new Masters of Magic game on the PC by the people that did, I'm blanking out. Anyway, somebody bought the license to be able to do that. Also, God dang, there's so many things I could talk about. There's a new Microprose in Australia. Somehow they bought the licensing and started up Microprose again. Dude, I would move to fucking Australia, even though I'm anachrophobic, to work there. Anyway, so after Falcon 4, after the DLC, I was working on Star Trek Birth of the Federation. Holy crap, another Star Trek game. Star Trek Birth of the Federation still has a huge following. Years later, engineers in the fan group or whatever in the community figured out a way to update the game so you could still play it now. Because we know it's hard to play old games on the new PCs and whatever. So yeah, I worked on Star Trek Birth of the Federation. Uh, I worked on modeling, some texturing. I created the crystalline entity and GOM2, the two space creatures. Yeah, the crystalline entity was slightly a pain in the ass. By that time, I was doing some texturing and modeling, and we were using 3D Studio Max at that point. Uh, and I also assigned all the weapon slots for all the Klingon ships and some. I'm trying to remember specifics. It's hard. It's been years. And also, I created some really cool race illustrations, like the humans, the Cardassians, the Klingons, the Romulans. I think that was it. Yeah, created those. They were really cool illustrations, like portraits. They were really cool. And then Paramount said, no, we don't want portraits. We don't want that. And we don't even want a photograph of the main race thing. We want the emblem for the United Federation of Planets. We want the emblem for the Klingons. We want the emblem for the Romulans and blippity blue, whatever. So yeah, they didn't use my illustrations. That's fine, whatever. I still worked on Birth Federation. That was awesome. And then we moved on to doing concept drawings for Masters of Magic 2. That was rad. Here I am using my illustration knowledge and as an artist, as an actual artist that takes a pencil and draws on paper. Oh my God, really? Now the Academy is like all these digital classes. I don't even think they teach painting anymore. I don't know, man. Times are different. So, Masters of Magic, I worked on creating the concept drawings for the Beastmen race, Wandering Monsters, and then the Beastman race, Beastmen version, the other version that they would turn into, and their buildings. It was really cool. And then on December 7th, 1999, we had a big company meeting. I wonder what this company meeting is going to entail. Maybe we're getting raises. Maybe they're going to take us all out to lunch. Maybe they're going to do something really good for us. No, guess what? We're closing your studio. Fuck off. Goodbye. At that point, that's when I really couldn't stand Hasbro Interactive. And like I mentioned previously, I didn't know that we were going to be going bankrupt when Hasbro Interactive bought us. So kudos to Hasbro Interactive for having kept us alive for the next couple of years or whatever that was. Eventually, Hasbro Interactive went under or whatever, and then Microprose sold to Infogrames, and some people that worked at Microprose got a job over there. This is where the struggly and all the bad shit happens after that. But Microprose was the greatest place I ever worked for my entire life. After that, a bunch of things fell apart in my life. Blah, blah, blah. I don't want to even talk about all that bullshit. Look, everyone has bullshit that happens to them. That's what life is. And when somebody says, what's the meaning of life? It's really hard to figure out, isn't it? No, it's very easy. The meaning of life is very simple. The meaning of life, suffrage. That's it. Suffrage. That's it. I don't even need to explain it, besides going by saying, when you suffer, you know you're alive. If everything's going great and you're happy and you have all the money and all this stuff, really? Even rich people are still fucking having, you know, have troubles and stuff or whatever. Anyways, blah, blah, blah. Suffrage. That's the meaning of life. So yeah, the big layoff at Microprose, that was shit. I was still in the Bay Area. I'll do this really quickly. I was still in the Bay Area, and then I'm going to talk about the gaming industry in general. I was still in the Bay Area and trying to figure out what I was going to do. My digital chops weren't where they needed to be. That's the problem. And besides the other guys that worked in the industry at Mondo and Blippity Bloop or whatever, and then Microprose, and the art they were doing was just absolutely incredible. The textures for the ships and Birth of the Federation. Holy shit, dude, I'm looking at that stuff. Wow, that's incredible. How could I ever learn that? I did learn some, but I didn't get my digital chops. Hasbro laid us off. They took a few months up through April 2000 to give us some time. Then we took some classes at work in, vocational things. What you should be doing for life. I already know what I should be doing, dipshit. I'm also in on the fence. Well, not on the fence, but for me, gamers should work in the gaming industry. There's a lot of people that work in the gaming industry that aren't gamers, and they do bring a different aspect, which I think is a good strength because they have a different way of looking at stuff. But when it really comes down to it, people that should be making the games are gamers, okay? And above anything, games should be fun. Okay, so after Microprose, we took these classes, April 2000, bam, bam, lost this, lost that, divorce, blah, all this creepy crap happened. I ended up moving away, caretaking some house for a couple of years. Then I had to get some regular fucking job. And for the last 20 years, I've been doing this regular job stuff. And it sucks for me because, poor Stewie, let's all feel sorry. No, like I said, life is suffrage. We all have shit that happens to us. And I haven't worked in the gaming industry ever since. I did write a couple books. One was I have a publisher, and one was did really well. It's not a Stephen King novel. It didn't make me like over the years. It made me like 10 grand or something. Okay, but and I won't go into that because that's a. If I tell you what it is, then you'll know my last name. Then you'll try to steal my identity and take my house and all that scrippy crap. No, you won't. I'm being exaggerated. But anyways, I published a book. It did really well. It got write-ups in Starlog magazine. I was in all these radio shows, radio interviews. I got invited to be on this television show up in Canada at Edmonton. That was awesome. Just all this great stuff was happening. I made all these connections. It was about an old television show. I'll give you that. And I interviewed. You two guys know what my book is. Don't say what it is, please. I know you wouldn't. It's funny. Why am I being like that? Anyways, yeah, so it did really well. And the thing that was great was I got behind the curtain and I interviewed writers, directors, producers, script guys, tons of actors. Uh, the interview with William Shatner, at first, the whole project I was working on was a historical document. But then, and I had a connection to Shatner through a friend of mine. Thanks, dude. I had a connection through a friend of mine to Shatner, and Shatner agreed to do an interview with me for the historical document. Wait, are we talking about Galaxy Quest? Holy shit, dude! Wow, we should talk about movies. Fuck all this crap. Uh, yeah, historical document. But then it got bigger and bigger, and I started interviewing other people and whatnot, and it really got great. And so I said, I should just do a book. And so it became a book. And then when it became time to interview Shatner, and I'm sorry this is kind of pixelated. I don't know why it's the lighting in here. When it came time to interview Shatner, and I interviewed tons of people, dude, tons of people. I got way behind the curtain. It was crazy. And I'm just a dude. Okay, I'm just like you guys. I'm just a dude, man. But it was rad. But when it came time for William Shatner to be interviewed, my friend connected to him again, and I was going to set it up, and then mentioned that it was, for a book. And then Shatner said he'd be happy to do the interview if he gets royalties on the book. I said no to Shatner. I mean, again, it's not a Stephen King novel, dude. It's not going to make tons of money. You want royalties on a little book about an old television show? Really, dude? I mean, I didn't say no. My publisher said, yeah, that's kind of eh. But then Shatner, yeah, exactly. But then Shatner did agree to write an endorsement for the book on the back of the book, which I wrote. Shatner. I love Shatner. When Shatner passes, it's going to be fucking tragic. It's going to be tragic, man. As a Trekkie, come on. People say stuff about Shatner. I could give a rat's ass. Wait, you could give a rat's ass? Is that what you gift to people? So it's Christmas, and you kill a dead rat, and you cut off its tail, and you wrap it with a ribbon and bow. Merry Christmas. A rat's ass. You give a rat's ass for. Some of these sayings don't make any sense. Okay, so yeah. So that book was published in 2007. It saw 3 printings. It's done really well. Like I said, the day that I got a really cool, colorful write-up in Starlog magazine was like, holy shit, dude, is this really happening? It was very cool. Anyways, you might be able to figure out what the book is. All right, so That's all the gaming stuff I could really tell you about from my experience with being a gamer and whatnot. But I do want to kind of just maybe chat just a tiny bit. I don't know how long I'm going to do this. I've never done one of these vlogs before. You're in my living room. I'm just bullshitting, going on and on. I could go on and on for hours. You see, I'm going like this. I'm Italian. Italians do this, and they talk forever. I don't know. Also, you may tell from if you're subscribed to my channel that also I don't know if it's an Italian thing, but sometimes I feel like a Klingon. Okay. Now I don't like rage and throw my controller and shit when they piss you off. Games shouldn't anger you. They should be fun. But on occasion you may see me or hear me, or if I have my camera on, like losing my shit. And I admit, yesterday I was losing my shit. I waited so long for Demio D&D Battle Marked or whatever to come out. I was so happy that finally came out. Did a stream. I was really looking forward to it. We were doing really cool. And then when I was in that one mission in Tumble Tree or whatever that was, dude, I kept rolling the skull time and time. It was so shitty. And then the game doesn't tell you stuff. It doesn't tell you stuff. Hold the triangle button to get rid of one of your cards and get another card. It doesn't tell you how to get to how to. It doesn't tell you how to skip a character's turn. It doesn't tell you. It doesn't have a control scheme. What the hell? Now, there was a patch that just dropped. So that's cool. Maybe it clues you in. But I found out by going online and looking this shit up that you have to hold triangle to skip a card, to get rid of a card out of your hand. And to go to a certain character, okay, you have to scroll over to their portrait and click on them. And then you get a little menu that says skip turn. Why the fuck doesn't the game tell you that? Look, I like, and at some level, love video games. I love tabletop games. Ian-san, we played D&D, we played uh, uh, Pathfinder, dig tabletop games. Me and Ian were playing Iridia. We played Lord of the Rings, Journeys of Middle Earth. I love tabletop games. I love video games. I'm a gamer. I've been a gamer my whole life. When I was a kid, I remember when I was like 8 years old, Santa Claus brought me so many board games. They were up to my waist when I stacked them up off the ground. Kerplunk, Monopoly, Sorry, Parcheesi, Battling Tops, uh, uh, Skittle Pool. I'm serious. I have all this stuff in storage in giant boxes. I have all my tabletop games from when I was a kid, which is weird. 100% of those games are competitive. Now we have all these cool games that are cooperative. Very cool. Anyways, what was I talking about? And I'm going to try seriously not to talk about this because I will literally go on for hours and hours. Where's the finger? That one right there behind my head. I will go on for hours and hours. So I'm going to try not to talk about this. Let's talk about Godzilla. Okay. Anyways. All right. What was I talking about? I don't fucking know. I forgot what I was talking about. I was talking about video games. Okay, so I was a gamer all these years. I love video games. Okay, I love Parcheesi. What is that? It's a board game. Look it up. It's a great game. Awesome game. Parcheesi. Headache. I remember Headache. Uh, what's that other game with the pop up with the timer and the Perfection? I remember that. I had the slot cars, the small slot cars. Dude, I had everything, man. I had everything. I came from originally a family of four. Oh yeah, I remember the December. Yeah, okay. Originally family of four, and my dad was a newspaper man. He was an artist at first, but then they started having kids. And my mom, for the most part, was a homemaker, okay, which is a difficult job, okay, raising children and all that shit, and having animals and shit. Fuck that. I don't have any kids. Uh, and my dad was a newspaper man all of his life. He was an artist at first, but then they had babies, and then and then he worked in, he was doing, sales, and he was a layout artist, okay, and a ad salesman. And why'd I go there? Because he was the bread maker, but somehow my parents, who had four kids, were able to, through their connection with Santa Claus, have these great Christmases, man. I just remember tons of games and tons of toys, and so I grew up as a gamer. And when the Atari 2600 and the Amiga and the PC and the Xbox and the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5, what's next? I don't have VR. I'd love to have VR, but I'm not getting VR until it's what? Well, I know the Quest thing is wireless, but yeah, they're wireless. Okay. I want VR to be completely wireless, have like a 4 hour, 5 hour battery thing, super lightweight. But the most important thing is VR gloves. I don't want controllers. I want my hands. I want to go over and open that doorknob. I want to put the key in and turn it. And they're working on that. I think somebody already has them coming out or whatever. I don't know. Like 5 years ago or something, there was a patent from PlayStation for gloves. When are they going to do it? Anyways, I don't have VR. Ah, the gaming industry. The gaming industry has gone from having a full QA department, which I'm sure they still have. However, I believe that a lot of studios outsource third-party QA. They don't have QA in-house. Maybe they do. Some developers do, whatever. But in my day, when I worked in the gaming industry, we had QA, and we fully tested the game. Okay. There was no early access. There wasn't any of that stuff that we have now, which is a con. It's a con. Have patience. But it's too late, man. People that don't have patience let that be created. And now you've got early access, games that are half finished and buggy as shit and crashed and all this stuff. And you paid the money for it because people aren't patient enough just to wait until it's fixed. And the gaming industry, in my opinion, the developers take advantage of that. And that's the new norm. Okay, whatever that I'm not gonna say it's fine. I don't dig it. I don't do early access. Um, and so yeah, games were fully tested. You tested the game until it was 99% finished. Maybe there was something that didn't get, but you still have schedule and you release the game. Now it's just a totally different thing. And for me as a gamer, especially when a game, like if you buy a disc, even if you buy, well, no, if you buy a game on the PlayStation, it's $70, like a AAA. It's $70. If you buy the disc, it's like $78, right? I thoroughly dislike the idea of, how do I put this? Not literally the idea of a boss, but I don't dig bosses, man. I paid my money. I want to play the game. I always play at normal difficulty in the game. Okay? I don't do easy. I don't do hard. And personally, I hate achievements on the Xbox or trophies on the PlayStation where there's a trophy for finish the game in normal mode, finish the game in hard mode, finish the game in insane mode. And you can't get the platinum trophy or the top level achievement until you do that. Really? I mean, I don't. And when I finish a game, it's done, dude. I finished it. It's done. I mean, there's only a couple games like The Forest that I played twice. So that's a fucking awesome game. And maybe other games are awesome and you want to play them twice and three times to get the fucking platinum or whatever. I don't know. I just think that's a bunch of bullcrap. And the gaming industry, just I don't know, man. I just think there's how do I do this without being a dick? Well, I'm not a dick. It's my opinion. I think there's a lot of young developers that want to top that other developers' bosses. Or I want to make it so hard. I want to make it brutal. Hence the Dark Souls games. Holy shit. People actually enjoy that stuff? Really? Now, I got Elden Ring because it talked about how you could do magic more and it was more accommodating. But for me personally, when I kill something or defeat it, it's defeated. It's dead. And then I rested a fire. Oh, cool. Oh, shit. I got to kill all the same dudes all over again. How wonderful. Fuck. Yeah, I know. Elden Ring was fun as fuck. I get it, dude. I mean, I played like, I don't know how much I played of that game, but I played up until the big fat dude that rolls in that one building, and I just couldn't defeat that guy. And at that point, when a game becomes like, when you're angry at the game, and we can all get that, when you're angry at the game, that's not fun, man. And games are supposed to be fun. For me, I want there to be an option. I don't know what you want to call the option. Sissy level, pussy level, wimp level, whatever. I want an option to say, after I've been defeated by that guy 6 times trying to kill that fucking boss that I can't kill. And yeah, you have to get used to his moves and his special moves and all that creepy crap, whatever. I get it. But I want there to be an option to say, bypass the fucker. I hate this. I can't do it. I don't know, muscle memory, whatever. I can't fucking do it. Give me an option to fucking bypass the dude. I paid the fucking money. I want to play your fucking game. Well, then you should be a gamer. You should be able to. No, dude. I am a fucking gamer. I've played thousands of games. I'm not saying I'm a great gamer. I'm a pretty good gamer. And as some of my people that have subbed on here, especially Elemental P, will point out, how is it that I'll have like a pixel of health in the hardest situation going on, and somehow I'm able to still finagle my way around it and get through it and not die? I don't know how I do that, okay? But so many times I get stuck on a boss and it just pisses the shit out of me. Piss and shit are two totally different things. How do you piss shit? You either pee pee or you go poo poo. You can't pee shit. There's another one of those sayings. Okay, whatever. Anyway, so yeah, I'm not a fan of bosses. I never played any of the Silent Hill games. I got Silent Hill F. F as in fuck you. What are you doing playing this game? Because I do like some horror games and I love Japanese stuff. Okay, all right. 3年私は日本語の勉強しましたね。でも私の日本語の単語は小さいですよ。Okay? わかりますね? Ian sounds like, はい、わかります。I love Japanese stuff, Japanese culture, Japanese food, Japanese women. Oh, I'm a So I got Silent Hill F, and I'm playing. Okay, they've got story mode and hard mode. Well, I find out that hard mode is the normal default. But once I got to the baby doll boss and her minions, then out comes out the Italian Klingonisms. You fucking cunt! I can't! All of that. And you start getting angry and pissed off at the video game that's supposed to be fun. Hooray, I'm having fun. All right. Yeah, it's a horror game. I get it. I tried. And yeah, at some point, the game says, you suck. Do you want to go down to story mode? And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. Recently, that game was updated with, I believe, casual mode, which is below story mode. But the only way you can get casual mode, there's a couple ways. Hey, thanks for popping in and checking out the stream. One way is when you first start the game, you can go into casual mode. Another way is after you finish the game and you do a new game, you can go into casual mode. Those are the two ways you can go into it. However, I believe there's also a third way, and that is when you suck, you suck, you suck, you suck, you suck, you suck, suck at the game that you're stuck in. The game will finally say, not just, do you want to go into story mode? Do you want to go into casual mode? You're a sissy. You can't play this game. You should be playing Pac-Man or Berserk or Asteroids Deluxe or Gauntlet. But this game, you're not very good at it. So you should go into casual mode. Yeah, okay. Well, at some point, I'll go back to that game and be stuck on that again, and I'm going to go into sissy mode. And not casual, but I'll go into story mode, and I'll get back to it and play it and probably stream it. But I hate having to do that. And the worst thing about that game is this. Once you change the difficulty, you can't go back to the other difficulty. So if I go, I can't get through this boss. I'm going to go on casual. I'm going to go on story mode. Okay, man, it's really still really hard, but it's not as hard. Not as many minions. Okay, all right, I defeated her. Okay, I want to go back to hard mode. I want to go back to default regular difficulty. No, you can't. Are you fucking kidding me? In today's age, with all the programming and all the engineers working on all these games, they're absolutely incredible visually and just incredible games. You can't figure out the code to swap it back? It's interesting. That game won't allow you to do that. But last month or whatever, Silent Hill 2, the remaster, was free on the PlayStation for the extras thing you pay or whatever. So I got that. I was playing that. That game, if you choose to change the difficulty, which I did have to do on that Uh, the boss that's in the picture frame. That guy's a dick, man. He's a total dick. Uh, with that boss, I did have to bring the the difficulty down, and then it said that the only way you could get the difficulty back to where you want it is to load a previous save. But see, there's a back door to that. You just put it on sissy mode and then kill the boss. And then the next time you go to a save the game and then change the difficulty. And it'll say, oh, you got to revert to an old save. Yeah, but I can revert to the one right now that's on the difficulty that I want or whatever. I don't know if I explained that right. But that game lets you do that, but not F. So F stands for, what the fuck are you doing in this game, Stewie? I don't know. Okay. So yeah, the gaming industry has progressed in a lot of ways. I mean, it's gone from Pong to all the stuff of now, man. And it's been a decade since like Elder Scrolls 6 was announced. Like a decade. Okay? Where is it? And it sucks that Microsoft bought Bethesda, they bought Activision, but now because of they raised the rates on their special thing or whatever to get games, and people are like, fuck you. Even Angry Joe was like, you're dead. You're dead to me. I'm going to the PlayStation. Fuck you. And Microsoft apparently is not doing good. And now the Steam PC thing came out. I'm sure Micropost is like, holy shit, what are we going to do? Because Steam players are playing it on the PC. So now you don't even need a Microsoft PC Windows thingamajiggy to play Steam games. You could just play it on the Steam thing. Hell yeah. I think that's a rad move, man. I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, the gaming industry has its pros and its cons. The games have progressed. They look amazing. I love open world adventure, RPG, exploration. I dig all that stuff. Thank you, sir. I dig all that stuff. That's the kind of games. That's a Stewie game. Like, what was that? I can't think. I'm trying to think of some of the games lately. Like Green Hell. Holy shit, dude. That game is incredibly good. I love the forest. Yeah, I played all the Elder Scrolls games. Most of them suck ass. Oblivion was cool. Skyrim was awesome. Uh, whatever. There's a lot of and today sometimes like these games, eventually my TV from 2010 went bad, and I guess it's been maybe 2 years now since I bought this new one, and it's my first 4K television, and I'm like, holy shit, it's fucking awesome. Yeah, Green Hell is fucking amazing. Elemental Pieces. That's an amazing, dude. And they had a free DLC for it. Should I go to the One Man's Lie? Should I go to the One Man's Lie? Briefly. Okay. When a game is overhyped. All right. So a developer, okay. If a developer is working on a project and they say this is what the game is going to be when we release it, make sure that the game, when you release it, is what you said it was going to be. Make sure it is what you say it's going to be. Don't say, this is our game in a decade. Don't take 8 to 10 years to get the game where you promised it to be when you first released it. There's so much hype for a certain specific game. And I was one of those people that fell for the hype. When it came out, mushroom people bouncing around. The thing that pissed me off about that really is, I'm talking about One Man's Lie. The thing that it's a full game now. There's tons of stuff after a decade. Okay. But the thing that really irked me about that dude and that developer that really irked me is that they still had that scripted trailer for 8 years after the game was released. Yeah, you fell for the hype too. 8 years, they still had that scripted gameplay that they said was gameplay. That big purple dinosaur rhino thing coming through the trees. Rawr! Look at all the creatures, and the creatures are like, holy shit, and they're running away. Guess what? Even though they've put all this stuff on the cake over the years, all the icing, the creatures are still mindless automatons. All right? Yeah, it's full. You put all this stuff on it. And I get it. People that came into the game a decade later, it's the most incredible thing ever. And yeah, I get it. It's great that all those DLCs were free and they tried to make up for their lies. Yeah. Okay. For their lies. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. And then their next project, uh, what's it called? Uh, the fire, something fire. Now it's just one planet and it's planet sized. Oh, it's an RPG. And when he was on stage and that dude was like, you know, reacting, he was like, really? Now? This now? And then he even laughed, like, I know, I really exaggerated. Yeah, but you know what, dude? Through all those opening lies, you made millions of dollars, tons of money. And that's the thing that's shitty sometimes about the gaming industry of today. And there's gamers, and then there's casual gamers, and then there's people that play those like gem things, the gems that come down in them on their mobile phones, and they think they're gamers. I'm a gamer. I'm a gamer. Okay, you're a gamer. Okay, I get it. But like I said, in my opinion, there's pros and cons about the gaming industry, and I think the technology is amazing. I mean, for me, most of the games I buy are indie games for like 15, 20 bucks. And yeah, maybe they're only 12 hours long or 10 hours long. When a game is only like 2 hours long, I'm like, unless it's $4 or something, like that doll game, that horror game with the dolls, uh, or the cabin one, the Cabin Factory. It was like $4. That was a fun thing. I streamed it for like 3 hours, whatever. That was cool. When it's like that, that's cool. But yeah, most of the games I buy are indie games. And recently I bought Ghost of Yotei. This was like Christmas. Dude, why did you have to? Fort Solace. Yeah, that. Oh my God, why'd you have to bring that up? No, you brought it up as another example. I get it. I remember streaming that. I was like, when do I get to run? When do I get a weapon? When is this become something else besides a glorified walking sim? That was absolutely horrendous. It was so bad. Terrible. Terrible. And so people fall for the trailers, which aren't even gameplay, really. And there's a lot of crap that comes out, and it's so unfair. There's still a lot of really great things that come out. But don't you think that when you spend $78 for a disc or 70 games for a digital version, you know, on the console or whatever the hell, don't you think you should get your money's worth? And a lot of times you don't. You don't, man. And it sucks. It's really shitty that a lot of things come out and they're just crap. They say now that the gaming industry is bigger than Hollywood and the music industry. I won't even go on the music. What music industry? There's no music industry. It's gone. Okay. But the gaming industry is bigger than both of those combined. And I kind of believe that. I don't know if that's true. I haven't done research on that. But I kind of believe that. I should stop messing with my shirt. Um, the gaming industry is huge. It's huge. But because of that, it's opened the door for a lot of crap. How many times have you seen these? What do they call it? Shovelware? Shovelware? Just these stupid things that are like 99 cents. And it's like, click on the thing, whatever. It's just the stupid crap. How many times have you seen, like, okay, the first one comes to mind. Uh, like I forget what it's called, like a drug dealer game. Like you grow your drugs, you sell your drugs, and somebody announces that that game's going to be coming out on the PlayStation and maybe the Xbox. I don't know. That they're going to be releasing, it's going to be ported onto the consoles. Within the next week, you'll have like two or three copycats doing, what do they call it? It starts with an I. I forget what it's called. Drug dealer game. You have all these other developers that are going to do that game because that game's going to be a hot seller. So they're going to do this. How many times have you seen that in the PlayStation Store or the Xbox thingamajiggy? You'll see like, oh, there's like three or four of these, schedule one. That's it. Yeah, schedule one. Yeah, exactly. How many times have you seen that recently? It It's because there's just so many developers. There's so many small developers that want to make their bucks. They want to get in on the cash grab, right? They're not even necessarily probably even gamers. It's just because the gaming industry is so big that other small companies or whatever developers want to make a game to try to make their money. There's so much crap that gets developed now because the gaming industry is so huge. And so yeah, you'll have those awesome games that come out, but then you'll just have all this crap that comes out. So that's kind of my rant on all of that. I don't know. What else could we talk about? I don't know, man. I mean, I dig video games. I guess it comes down to I love video games, and at times I also fucking hate them because I used to go to the beach. I used to go hiking. I used to fly a kite for crying out loud. I used to go drawing in the forest. I used to do this. I used to do that. Think of it this way. So many people are succumbed to what I just call anti-social media, right? That's the norm now. Everybody with their cell phone thingamajiggy, all their devices. And what's happening is people are getting stupider, they're getting fatter, they're getting dumb, and they're not going out and doing stuff. They're not hanging out with their friends. They're just, oh, here's my picture of what I had for dinner. Will you like? He didn't like it. Oh, she liked it. Oh, I got 4 likes on my dinner picture. Hooray! I'm important because I have 450,000 followers. All right. Yay. Hooray. As we all sit on our couch, like I am now, sitting on my couch as a hypocrite, but I don't do anti-social media. The only social media thing I have is an old LinkedIn page from Microprose days when we got laid off. I have nothing. I'm not on Facebook. I'm not on Twitter, tweet, Xy thingamajig. I'm not on Untruth Social or whatever, all that creepy crap. It's a bunch of crap, dude. Okay? I saw recently, and trust me, okay? I get I go down the rabbit hole on YouTube. There's a lot of cool stuff on there, man, that actually is cool. Documentary things. I like to watch things on nature and this and that. And I mean, come on. I'm not a dog person. I love cats. I'm a cat person. I don't have a cat, but I used to. And I mean, yeah, I click on cat videos. I do your daily dose of internet, your daily dose of, yeah, is that it? Here's your daily dose of internet. That dude, which for the life of me, he still can't say very, very. He says very at the very end. It's like, dude, the word is very. Anyways, whatever. I succumb to that kind of stuff too, but I don't do it. I hate anti-social media. It's anti-social. People aren't socializing, man. Okay, so this is cool. And yeah, I'm going on and on. Like I said, I could talk for hours and hours, man. This is my first vlog, so I'm letting all this shit out. I saw something online that was really cool. There's different communities in colleges now that are saying, F it to my phone. I'm not using my phone. I leave my phone at my house. My friends and I go, we hang out. We hang out, we play guitar. We go to the cafe and we have these great conversations. I go to this reading thing at the library. I'm going on hikes, man. Let's gather our group and go on hikes. How fucking cool is that? So sometimes when older generation people are putting down younger generation, there's always a minority, or maybe even a little bit more of a minority, that are not succumbing to all of that crippy crap of anti-social media and all of that stuff, being followers and all that. One thing that anybody that, okay, I will say thank you for subscribing to my channel. Besides my intro video from like 2014 or something, I've been on YouTube for like 11 years or whatever. And besides that one intro thing that I've not updated because I still like that. That's a cool little intro thing. I've never asked anybody to subscribe to my channel. Please like my videos. Hit the notification button. Look, if somebody likes something, they're going to like it. If somebody wants to subscribe to the thing, they'll subscribe to it. I always say, thanks for being here, and thanks for popping into the stream. I always say, welcome to my neck of the woods. It's a tiny, minuscule, microscopic, way below on the UHF, way below channel 44, KVH, KV, channel 44, channel, whatever. I'm way down here. Thank you very much for popping in. But I never ask people to. It's funny. This is interesting. Lately, I've had like some new subscribers come in, and that's super cool, man. And then I'll lose somebody, and that's cool, man. I don't, at times I don't stream. I have to take a break from streaming because I'll get pissed off at a game or whatever, or I'm sick or depressed or whatever. Right now, I have a lot of bullshit that's going on with my work, and I won't go into it. And so lately, I haven't been streaming. I was streaming Dark Quest 4, and I'm at a point in that game where it's really difficult. And so I don't want to stream dying every time. Same with Silent Hill 2 remastered, Silent Hill F, a couple other games. I guess right now I'm kind of taking a little bit of break for a little bit. But the fact that over 200 people have subscribed to this, that just even that people that have like 10,000 subscribers. Thank you. I have the greatest community. And they're so thankful. And they're honestly like, thank you so much. I have the greatest community. And they do. And that's great. And they have 10,000 subscribers. That blows me away. And then people that have millions of subscribers. I'm subscribed to Neebs. Okay, Neebs Gaming. Those are the dudes for me. Although Simon, dude, I'm sorry, dude. You have your great comic relief, but and I know people are like, Simon's becoming a gamer. But Simon, you're not really a gamer, dude. I'm sorry to say that, dude. He's never going to see this. We're all tuned in for more internet shkanominy. Exactly. You know, the guy, Absro's really the gamer there, and Neebs, and Doralius, and rest in peace, Stick 44. Holy fuck. Okay, so now I'm on a Neebs thing. So, a couple years ago, the same year that my dear friend Caesar Lemus passed away, Tony Thick 44 passed away from a brain tumor. Very sad, very terrible. Terrible. Hit the gaming community massively. Games like 7 Days to Die, um, Generation Zero, maybe some others have put homages to Thick 44. There's Thick 44 flags in 7 Days to Die. There's uh, Uncle Thick's T-shirt shop in Generation Zero. I mean, there's been so much love and support for his passing, and he was awesome. And it's so great that all of their old videos are on Neeb's Gaming channel. If there's any channel that I would suggest you subscribe to, it's Neebs, Neebs. I dig those guys. They're a lot of fun. And they're friends in real life. Before that, they did like the animation thing, Duralius and Associates, and Absro did the art. He's an okay artist. Okay, somebody as a professional illustrator is a little bit outsider art, but it's fun work. And there's a lot of videos they did early on with that. And then they started gaming. I think the first game they were doing was Ark, the very original Ark. And it's funny to watch all that early shit. But now they do 7 Days to Die still. They finished with Ark Ascension, and they're doing that the underwater Shatterland or whatever that game is, and they're doing Store Wars. You know, they did that drug game, and I was like, this is a stupid game. I don't even want to watch this. Anyways, whatever. Where was I going with any of this stuff? I don't know, man. Yeah, the gaming industry is very interesting. It's evolved into a certain thing, but for the most part, there's a lot of great stuff that's being created. There's a lot of crap and a lot of disappointment. And my only suggestion is buy more indie games, man. You know, more indie games just tend to be more creative. You know, most of the triple A games, it's just the same old shit. You know, and I don't do MMOs. I don't do PvP. I hate PvP. When I was a kid, all right, I lived on a court in the Blossom Hill area of San Jose. As a kid, we would play War. Why do little kids play War? I don't even think little kids, I don't know, do little kids play anymore? Or is it all this? I don't know. Do kids play? When they're infants and little kids, they probably play with toys, but then suddenly they get the screen. Oh, yeah, give me the screen. Oh. But I don't know if little kids probably don't play War, but they play Fortnite. Which here's my point: when we were kids, my generation, we played War. We had play guns, we had pop guns and plastic guns and guns with little things that would, and whatever. I still have my Tommy gun from when I was a kid. But we'd play War in the court. We'd play War. Okay? And then when you went to the Santa Cruz Boardwalk, They had the shooting gallery. You'd shoot the ducks. You'd shoot the ducks. You shoot the ducks. Video games, in my opinion, and there's been studies, I'm pretty sure, I've done tons of research, but I'm fairly sure that video games, in the most part, don't make people violent. I think it's a way of maybe releasing things that might, I don't know, trouble people, whatever. But really, all of this PvP stuff is little kids that are bigger playing war. I got you. I got you. I got you. So I don't see for me personally, I get it. There's a lot of people that dig that. Maybe a lot of people that dig that are, how should I put this? Okay, let's not get political. But I will say, maybe it's possible that a lot of people that play that stuff just like okay, so there's a lot of people that just dig that kind of game, that dig PvP. They dig the thing of not a story, of not an RPG, of not NPCs. No, but about going up against other real people. That's a really cool thing for other people. And then I think there's a good amount of portion of that are people that like guns in real life. And I think that probably because I don't do those kind of games, God, when I do that, it's like I'm a demon from hell. Um, a lot of people that dig those games, maybe they dig guns. I don't know. And I was going to say that I would imagine that because I don't really play those kind of games, that I would imagine that there's a lot of toxicity with that stuff. Probably a lot of bullying, a lot of racism, and a lot of dark shit from shitty people that like being shitty. And I'm sure there's a lot of toxicity in that kind of stuff. Do you have a preferred genre of games? Yes. Okay. So having been somebody that already as a kid and as a teenager and as a college person had already gone through all of arcade games, so things that were arcadey. I don't really play arcade games, but PlayStation. My genre of games really are RPGs, role-playing games. I love open world exploration, single player games. So like I mentioned, obviously Skyrim, Fallout 4, Fallout 3. I'm trying to think of, I don't know, my brain is mush right now today because of all this real life stuff that's going on with me. But obviously, like Green Hell, what was that other game that was all about growing the trees? Damn it, what was that? That game was so fucking unique. Damn it, I'm blanking. I streamed it too. I love that game. It came out like a year ago, I guess, or whatever. Yeah, so RPG, single player, role playing, D&D, open world, exploration. I love dungeon crawlers. When any kind of like dungeon crawler, even the JRPGs that come out, I'm a sucker because of my favorite game from the Amiga and the Atari computer, the Atari ST, I guess it was, Dungeon Master. When a game comes out that is Axba, yeah, Axba, whatever that was, that game, yeah, 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 with the trees and the all the unique creatures. Man, that game so creative. I wish they would come out with like a huge. There's other okay on the map. There's places that they have not done yet, so there's going to be other DLCs that come out. I will totally. Towers of Agaspa. That's it, or Towers of however that is, Agaspa or whatever. Yeah, that's it, dude. Yeah, good call. So yeah, open world. I like exploration. The grid base. When I was still on the PC, Grimlock. Holy crap, dude! Grimlock 1 and 2. Those games are flipping awesome. They're complete homages to Dungeon Master. Oh my god, I dig that stuff. That's like I would almost say it's in par with the open world stuff. I love grid-based dungeon crawling stuff. Dig that shit. I don't play sports games. I don't play fighting games. By the time I was in college and was on the Amiga, that's when I guess in the early 90s, maybe late like 89, right in there, somewhere in there, that's when like Street Fighter and all those kind of fighting games, and that's not my genre. I never played those games. I'm not saying I don't like. I just never played those games. That's not a genre I play. I hate. I just thoroughly dislike driving games, and uh, I don't play sports games. Okay, so back in '92, when the Clive Barker graphic novel that I fully illustrated was released, um, a I would love Enshrouded, but see, I'm not on the PC now. My PC is down. It's been down for a couple of years. If that gets ported onto the PS5, yeah, I'll totally be playing that game. Yeah, I'll totally be playing that. So like right around '92 when the Clive Barker graphic novel came out, um, and I was in line to do another Clive Barker graphic novel for that publisher at the time because they liked the first one I had done. And the first one I had done was a psychological it was a psychological terror story. It barely had any gore in it. And the next graphic novel that I was uh, set to do with that publisher was Confessions of a Pornographer's Shroud, and it was the opposite of the first graphic novel I had done, Clive Barker book, in that it was like massively gory. Something about how a geeky accountant gets um, uh, scapegoated by these gangsters that were doing child pornography or some weird shit. Clive Barker does some intense stuff. And so they somehow blame it, they use him as a scapegoat, and he gets blamed, and they murder him. And then uh, on the slab where his corpse is, somehow his essence, okay, um, inhabits the sheet, okay, that's covering his body. And he uses the sheet to get revenge on all the pornographers and somehow make it aware to the police that his character, his person, even though he's dead, was innocent. And the way that the sheet like kills these dudes was so graphic. It would like he inhabited the sheet. It would walk around whatever, and it would form a point, and it would go down in the guy's throat and down his body and rip him apart and all this gory stuff. Unfortunately, that publisher went bankrupt, and I never did that second graphic novel. And from the illustration world, things were kind of teetering down a little bit. I had less and less jobs, and that's when I got into the gaming industry and was doing gaming art and all of that. Anyways, I forgot what I was talking about. Talking about games, what kind of games I like. Yeah, so some of the even the JRPG uh, grid-based dungeon games. I'm not into the like Final Fantasy stuff. I'm not into that genre of have this guy do that and do this and then the stuff happens. I don't know. I'm not into it. I love Japanese stuff, and I do dig the camera obscura games. See, when you're old, your brain starts melting. Fatal Frame. I dig I played like Fatal Frame 3 on the 360. That was that the first? No, the first real horror game, really, if you think about it, was Haunted House on the 2600. That's really the first horror game. But after that, I think the first horror game was Alone in the Dark on the Amiga. Yeah. They tried to remake that recently a couple of years ago. Yeah. Most horror games are crap. Horror games where you're just being chased from some monster, whatever, dude. But as Elemental P will point out, what's come on, dude? What's the game? Visage. I played Visage on the PlayStation 4. I was playing like Amnesia and some other horror games, and then I played Visage on the PS4. That horror game kind of broke me, and I had to take a break from horror games for a couple of years. I went back and started playing other horror games and whatnot, and recently got back to doing them. But yeah, that game kind of broke me. Visage, yeah, that game is intense. I think it's voted as the number two or number three horror game of all time. With what's that game called? It's another one where you use a camera. Uh, Matilda or something like that. That one's voted as the number one horror game. Anyway, so it's cool playing the Silent Hill games now. I never played them before. They're very cool. They're hella creepy. Um, and I'm going to try to get back to those kind of soon. And I'm trying to think of what else I can. I've been talking about gaming and stuff and whatnot. I kind of gave you a picture of where I came from and things that interest me and whatnot. Um, I don't know if I could do this, but behind me, okay, is let's see how I could do this. There's my Rush pinball, and on the other side of that is my Twilight Zone pinball machine. And from the stuff on the wall, you can tell I'm a zoner, I'm a rusher, and I'm a Trekkie. That painting over there is one of my dad's illustrations. The guy that played the Cowardly Lion with the turquoise mat on it. I'm not going to show you all that stuff in my house, but whatever. I just thought, there's my pinball machines, and yeah, okay. Can I get this back here? Yeah, cool. All right. Wow, that was interesting. I live in a smaller place now, but I'm really lucky because this place that I live in, it's a small house, but it's everything that surrounds me are backyards, and I rarely hear anybody except for my one neighbor with his stupid fucking dog. I won't go there. Dogs are cool. I get it. People love dogs. Chicks love dogs, especially single or divorced chicks. They all have their doggies. Okay. Would you take the dog for a walk and pick up his shit? No. I'm not picking up dog shit. I still want to do like an illustration of a dog that's just taking a shit and the human is picking up the shit and the thought balloon over the dog's head is, yeah, you pick it up. Oh man. What was the movie I Love You Man? Where I forget the actor's name, not Paul Rudd, the other dude, who's a huge Rush fan. Both of those dudes are Rush fans. Oh shit! Start talking about Rush, dude. They're walking down the boardwalk or whatever, like in LA, and his dog takes a shit, and he just keeps walking. And people start giving dogs are the best, and I'll die. I'll die on the something for your dog. I get it, dude. I get it. Dogs are man's best friend. I get it. Cats, in a way, are not the same as a dog. Obviously, they're a totally different species, man. Literally. But yeah, his dog shits. He doesn't pick it up. People are giving him shit. Hey, pick up your shit. I'm gonna stare. I just step in your shit. So what? I'm not picking up his shit. Give me a ticket. Fine me. I don't care. I'm not picking up shit. I'd be like that. What was that movie? That movie with oh God, whatever. Yeah. What was that? Okay. Movies. All right. I rarely go to the movies nowadays. Why does my shirt always do this? I'd like to tie it back here. It's bugging me. Movies. I rarely go to the movies, man. I rarely go to the movies. I just don't. I have Netflix, the cheaper version with commercials, and I have Paramount Plus for Star Trek. I could talk about Star Trek, but why should we talk about Star Trek? All of this new Trek, the majority of almost all of this new Trek, I can't stand. The beginning of Strange New Worlds, it started out really cool. The actor that's playing Christopher Pike, fuck yeah, awesome. He was great from that Railroad series with Cole Meany, okay, who played O'Brien from Next Gen and DS9. He was great. That actor that plays Christopher Pike, Captain Strange New Worlds, awesome. What's with the cooking shit? I don't get that. But in the beginning, I was digging Strange New Worlds. And then, okay, all right, it started with Discovery. Oh God. Okay, look, Star Trek is the original series. Kirk, Spock, McCoy. That's Star Trek. Next Generation, that's Star Trek. Completely. 100% with the original series. Deep Space Nine, 99% Star Trek. Totally. Can't stand Ferengi. Never liked the Ferengi. Armin Shimmerman is a freaking awesome Shakespearean actor. Complete awesome actor. Can't stand Ferengi. Fuck the Ferengi. I never liked the Ferengi. That's why Deep Space Nine is eh. Although the episode Duet, Duet, Duet with the Cardassian dude in the cell and Kira, some of the greatest writing in Star Trek. That episode, top notch. Voyager, yeah, Voyager's Star Trek. Enterprise, besides the intro song, which is fucking shit, I can't stand that intro. By the time okay, look, right, now we're on track. We're on track. Okay. We're on track with Trek. All right, I'm a total Trekkie. People say, Trekkie are the nerds that know the combination of Captain Kirk's safe. Whatever, dude. Trekkers are more into the filmation, the making of the series, behind the. Whatever, dude. Call it whatever you want. Okay? Okay, you shaved your nuts. Now you're going to call yourself a metrosexual. Whatever, dude. They're just labels, man. Okay? Trekkie. I'm a Trekkie. Star Trek, the original series, Next Gen, Deep Space Nine, Voyager. When all of those shows, Next Gen, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, okay? There's this thing called a video cassette recorder, VHS tapes. I taped every one of those episodes. Nerd! Actually, I'm an URN, a URN, an urban rocker nerd. That's the way I like to refer to it. But still, nerd. I taped all those. Years later, uh, when there was rumors that they were going to come out on DVD or something like this, possibly in the near future, I sold the entire giant box of videotapes to somebody in Canada on eBay and made like almost $300. They were gone. Whatever. Anyways, okay. When Enterprise first aired, I said, you know what? I'm done taping this shit. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm burnt, man. And I started watching Enterprise. I had moved away from Alameda. It was after the big layoff at Microprose, blah, blah, blah. I was caretaking a house and doing painting and all this work on this house for a couple of years, a deck and all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. And Enterprise first aired. I'm like, I'm not taping it. I'm just going to watch it. So the first episode starts, and it's cool. This is cool. Wow, Klingon. All right, this is cool, man. I'm digging this. And then the dreadful intro song started. There's polls that were done decades later that showed that a great number of viewing losses were because of that intro song. It's horrible. It's terrible. I couldn't watch it. I watched like the first 4 episodes. I didn't get to the Andorian one, which I'm blanking on his name. Hunter? No, I'm forgetting his name right now. The Andorians, that dude playing him. Holy crap! The Andorians were awesome. Okay, I didn't know this until years later because I boycotted that show. I'm like, I'm not watching this. I can't sit through the intro. It's horrible. It's terrible. It's Rod Stewart doing Star Trek. Why do you have somebody singing an intro where it was always an orchestration or space? Final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Man, man, man. To boldly go. Okay, to boldly go where no man has gone before. Okay, check it out. Where no man has gone before. Okay, all right. Because it's about humans going out in space. Then Next Gen, where no one has gone before. So that was in the beginnings of, political correctness, where no one has gone before. Huh. How do you know the Klingons haven't been there? How do you know the Andorians or the Vulcans or the Shelliots? How do you know no one's gone there before? It's kind of arrogant, don't you think? Man, woman, okay, human, Homo sapiens, okay? Where no one never bought into that. Anyways, I didn't watch Enterprise until years later on Netflix when Netflix had all of the Star Trek shows before, they lost them to Paramount and then Paramount Plus did their thing and now they have that. All these streaming services. That's why I go back to when I was a kid, we didn't pay for television. We had 13 channels. Everything you could ever want to watch ever was for free. Now, some people may pay up to like $200 or so a month to watch their television and go for eh, 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 I have 954 channels. Here's something. Oh no. I subscribe to this, to this, to this, to this. Oh, and my cable thing is this. How much do you spend a month? $240. Holy shit, dude. Okay, whatever. Anyway, so yeah, I didn't watch Enterprise until years later when I had Netflix and Netflix had Enterprise. And the thing that was cool is there was a little thing in the corner that said skip intro. Hell yeah, dude, skip intro. Yeah. And then I watched Enterprise. That was probably like in 2008, somewhere in there. I don't know, when Netflix still had Star Trek. And so I watched that series. But then once in a while, I'd be like, the show is starting and I'm watching. It's like, oh man, I got to go leave a leak. You don't take a leak, you leave it. You want to take the leak? No, you're leaving it. You're getting rid of it. Anyways, I had to go to the restroom and leave a leak. Leave a leak. So I go to the restroom, not realizing that, oh shit, the intro's starting. It's been a long time. Rod Stewart singing a Star Trek song. Meh, 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 meh. Hurry, pee, dude, pee. Flush. Skip intro. Oh my God. That happened a couple of times. Holy shit. That's how much I hated that intro song. But for the most part, like 95% of the time, I could always skip it. Then I watched Enterprise. I liked Enterprise. I thought Enterprise was great. And like most Trekkies, hated that last episode. It was crap. It was almost as bad as, if not worse, than the ending of Voyager. After 7 years of being in the Delta Quadrant, they finally get to Earth. They finally get to Earth. There's fireworks. End credits. What? What? You didn't have a thing where they pull into the space dock and there's Harry Kim's parents and Harry Kim's crying and everybody's like, all right, we made it back. Seven of Nine's, aunt from whoever meets her, and just this 3-minute thing, just one scene of of Janeway, and there's her dog, and everybody's crying and everybody's happy. No, they come out of the thing, there's the ship, fireworks, end credit, boom. What the fuck? That was the worst. Then you have Enterprise. Enterprise ending was terrible. Then there's a number of years. Now they call the next gen DS9 Voyager Enterprise the Legacy. Those are the Legacy series. All right. Then you got these new producers. I should have like a cricket sound in the background. What's with these dudes? What's with them? I don't even know the guy's name. I try to put him out of my head. The guy that was quoted on, was it Picard or was it Discovery? No, it was Picard. I just want to anger the fans. Really? Fuck you, dude. You want to anger us? You want to piss us off? Well, good job. You did a great job. But I remember I was all there for Discovery when Discovery started. All right, new Star Trek. Cool. Got my drink. I made some popcorn. All right. Cool. Okay, here's Discovery. Okay, this chick's really bad. But for some reason, later on, she's going to be the captain. She was in prison, but somehow she becomes the captain? Really? Okay, the Michael Burnham, that's fine. I don't really care about that. Sexual orientation, what is it? What does any of that matter? People are going to do and be who they are. You love who you love. Just be happy. Who cares? Why do people, you people are meh, you're meh. Fuck off. Anyways, digressing. So, the first episode of Discovery, there's the ship. Or Michael Burnham's in trouble. She goes to prison or whatever. I can't even remember. Try to put it on my head. But at some point, there's these other aliens. There's these other aliens. And you're like, whoa, cool. Whoa, who are these guys? Whoa, these guys are cool looking, man. This is a cool alien race. Wow, cool. Wait, did that guy just say kapla? Wait, what? Why are these guys, excuse me, pardon me. Why are these guys speaking Klingon? They're obviously not, they're not Klingons. These are not Klingons. Those are not Klingons. Holy crap, a ram-a-ding-dong. See, that's the thing about today's Hollywood and all of these kind of things with producers. Going back to the gaming industry, we used to have game designers. You had the game designer or designers. They designed the game. And then the producers and associate producers, their job was to make sure all of the departments are on scope with the project, that everybody has their resources to do everything they do. The producers didn't design the game. The producers didn't have any say in design of the game. Go forward a couple of decades. Producers and engineers have become the designers. Are there designers? That's a good rhetorical question. Anyways, going forward, Klingons, those are not Klingons. And my thing is with the producer thing is, you have these, I hate to say it because I'm old, but you have these younger producer dudes that really, for the most part, are not Trekkies. But they want to make their mark. They want to do their thing that's going to be remembered. I'm going to put my take on this thing. No, dude, There's this thing called canon. For instance, was it the second movie? Was it the second Kelvin timeline Star Trek Abrams movie where they suddenly established that Hikaru Suda was a homosexual? Even George Takei said, "Why did you do that? Sulu he's not gay." Well, we did it as an homage to you, George. Well, that's really nice. And yeah, of course, gays and trans and all of that should be in the future, in these Trek things. Of course, that's a given. Okay. But don't go against canon. So when Discovery had these dudes that were speaking Klingon that weren't fucking Klingons, I was like, what the fuck? And then I kept watching that series, and about halfway through, I'm like, I can't stand this shit. She became, she, whatever, became the captain, but this person was accused of this and that, was found guilty, and was in prison. And now you've made that person the captain? I never bought that, Michael Burnham being the captain thing. And I never bought that those were Klingons. It was creepy crap. And I just couldn't watch it. I stopped watching it and then I kind of came back to it. I'm like, it's supposed to be Trek. I'll watch it. Oh, that was a kind of a good story. Okay, but the majority of the stories are about the relationships between the characters as the A, and then the B story is, oh, I don't know, something about science fiction. So Discovery really kind of lost me. Picard. I couldn't stand Picard. First season, absolutely couldn't stand it. Spoiler alert. If you're a Trekkie or if you're not a Trekkie and you don't want to be spoiled by what I'm about to say, just, please feel free to leave because I'm going to give a spoiler. Five, four, three, two, one. The disease that Picard has kills him. Then they put his essence in a golem. Picard's dead. He's dead. That's not really Picard. Okay? I don't buy it. I didn't buy it, and I hated that they killed Picard. I couldn't stand that. They never established. This is the canon thing again. I know it's going to sound like, yeah, dude, what's your problem? Here's another thing. So the second season was all about the past, and that was also the alternate, like the mirror universe. I don't even remember. I try not to put it. I try to put that out of my head. But at the end of that season, somehow, out of a hat, they just established that Seven of Nine is bisexual or a lesbian. Well, that was never established before. Matter of fact, in Voyager, there was an episode where she was trying to be more associated with the different people on the ship to fit in, and she did this whole thing on the holodeck where she was having a relationship, a deep sexual romantic relationship with Chakotay and all this stuff. But see, once again, they just do this thing against canon. And it's about that. It's not about sexuality. It's about canon. Don't fuck with the canon. I'm sure Gene Roddenberry would be rolling over in his grave. Did you did you check his pulse when you put him in? Did you make sure he was alive, that he was dead? He's rolling over in his grave. It's cramped in here. I gotta roll over. I'm sure he's like, oh my God, what are you doing? With a lot of stuff with this new Trek. Okay, so Picard, bleh. First season, bleh. They kill Icheb. Why? Why would you kill him? They kill Icheb. They kill you. They kill Picard. What the fuck? Then they bring in Riker and Deanna Troi. It's getting hot in here. Look how hot I am. And I'm like, oh fuck, are you going to kill Troy? Are you going to kill Riker? Why not? Roll the dice. Oh, let's kill this guy. Oh, Geordi, let's kill him. Oh, let's kill him. Fuck him. Oh, this guy's trans now, and this guy's this, and this guy identifies as a cat, and boo. I mean, it's not about all those things. It's about fucking canon. So Picard season one, fucking season one, season two, whatever. Season three, hell yeah. I was totally there. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God, it's the Enterprise. Oh my fucking God, they remade the bridge. Holy shit, all seven of them are there. Oh my God, I'm verklempt. Holy crap, dude, palpitations. I got teary-eyed. I jumped on off of my couch. Yeah, the Enterprise D! It was awesome. Oh man, just so great. And the ending credits, they're sitting around playing poker. Oh, dude, you could say it's a fan service. I don't believe so. Whatever, maybe a little bit, whatever. I don't give a rat's ass. It was just, oh my God, it was awesome. And like I said, Strange New Worlds, I'll be off the Trek thing in a second. Strange New Worlds started off great, but then things started happening. Before I get to that, Lower Decks. Okay, Lower Decks. Now, I absolutely got and dug Lower Decks. I don't know if I'm in the minority with Trekkies, but I dug Lower Decks. That was flippin' awesome. I dug that series. Everything about it. A plus. Loved it. No problems. Love all the references, all the homages, everything, man. Carving pumpkins. Look, I carved V'ger. I mean, but I'm in the minority with stuff with Trek. My favorite Trek movie is the motion picture. Most people hate that because it's so long. No, it's comparable to 2001. Okay? The first Trek, nobody uses a phaser. It's pure sci-fi, man. Pure sci-fi. Anyways, love Lower Decks. The thing that lost me with Strange New Worlds is there's too many stories about the relationships with the characters as the A story, and the B story is the sci-fi thing. They'd have a really good episode, and then they'd have this dorky comical episode. They killed off the engineer dude, the blind albino Andorian. That dude was rad. He must have wanted off of the show. Is he really a blind actor, I wonder? I don't know. I never researched it. He probably wanted off the show. He was one of the best characters. And, they just lost me here. And then, ah, man, da da da. But when they got to the musical, man, what the Serial, a musical. Oh, it's some kind of anomaly that's happening in this part of space. And everybody goes into song. Ah, la, 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 la. And it's this fucking musical. And everybody's singing. And I know for some reason, a lot of people really like that episode. I guess production wise, it's really cool. A lot of went into the production value, coming up with the songs and all these unique things with that whole thing. But when it got to a point when there was hailing frequencies with the Klingons, I got my controller and said, fuck no. I'm not going to see a bunch of Klingons doing hip hop or rap or for God's sakes, a boy band or some shit. We're Klingons. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm Klingon and I have a lot to say about this and that. I can't do fucking rap, whatever. I'm a rocker, so yeah, I just couldn't do it. I still can't do it. Like a couple days later, a week later, whenever they had the next episode, I went back to that episode right where I paused it, and I went fast forward. La, 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 la. Can't hear it. La, 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 la. Fast forward, fast forward. Kind of look. Okay, I can kind of see. Okay, there. Okay, all right. That's the end. Okay. Wow, I'm glad we got out of that anomaly. Whew, that was close. All right, hailing frequencies. Okay, warp drive. Make it so. Boom, credits. All right, I got through it. Next episode, whatever it was, pretty good one, and then a pretty good one. However, here's the problem. In my day, a television series had like 26, 29, 32 episodes a season. Now, there's 8, maybe 10. There's 8 episodes. I don't know why my face is so red. I think it's because I'm so close to the television. Look, I'm in a small living room. I have 2 pinball machines. When I only had the Twilight Zone pinball machine up till 22, my couch was 3 feet back. I had my green screen, and I would use my green screen. Now it's just too close. I'm too close to the television. That's why I look like I'm sunburned or some shit. Normally my face is not like that. It's like it's normal color. Anyways, musical thing. La la la. What was I talking about? Oh yeah. So seasons now are like 8 episodes or maybe 10. What the hell? Really? Okay, so Strange New Worlds, 8 episodes a season. And when 3 or 4 of those episodes, as the A story, has some kind of made up relationship with Mr. Spock and Nurse Chapel, okay, in a love affair for 3 or 4 episodes, Out of 8 episodes, I'm like, what are you guys doing? And then you do a musical. Apparently, there's an episode coming up where the crew get turned into Jim Henson puppets. Now, I back up. When I was a 10-year-old, from Sesame Street and Electric Company and things of this nature, okay, especially Sesame Street. I love puppets. I had all these puppets. As a 10-year-old, my legit very first actual job, not, I didn't have a Social Security, I didn't pay for taxes, it was under the table, but it was a real job. I did just me with puppets, not Sesame Street, but other puppets that I had. I did puppet shows at Calico Corners Children's Clothing Shop in Oak Ridge Mall, San Jose, California, for like 6 months or so. I got $10 a week. I only did it on Saturdays. Every Saturday, I get $10. I take that $10 and go buy Aurora plastic prehistoric scenes models or airplanes or whatever. Yeah. So I grew up loving puppets, and a part of me in my soul, I should have been a puppeteer my whole life. That's really what I should have done. I did acting when I was in high school and college. I was in some indie films and whatnot. You wouldn't, yeah, you wouldn't know. And I thought I'd be an actor and whatnot, but I chose. And then at 17, I started playing guitar, and I became a guitarist and all that kind of stuff. And then it was like, well, do I go with music? Do I go with illustration? And I wasn't doing puppets when I was a teenager. I mean, things of this nature. It was too cool, man. Cool. I'm a cool cat. I'm not playing with puppets. But really, yeah. So I'm not knocking puppetry in any way, but this is a perfect example. As like they're rolling story dice. They're rolling story dice. Okay, what should we do now? Oh, let's do an episode where they go back in time and they have to rob houses to get dilithium. You know, I don't know, man. It's like who the fuck why are they doing this shit? And they get turned into puppets? Really? You get turned into puppets. Man, Star Trek should be made by people that are Trekkies. It's kind of like Tron. Tron, I know that the dude that did Tron, the first Tron movie. Sorry, I'm not going to say the first Tron movie. I'm going to say the Tron movie. Okay. I know that he was associated and wrote story stuff or whatever from the sequels and whatnot. I get it, but I don't know. You still have young filmmakers that, again, going back to the gaming thing, with people that want to put their mark on the thing. They want to do it their way. Yeah. So, anyways, a lot of the new Trek, I don't dig this newer stuff. I still dig the legacy stuff. I have Trek on almost all the time, man, in the background when I'm doing stuff or whatever, or when I'm crashing at night, whatever. It's just, and uh, but they're milking the hell out of it. The same way that the Star Wars thing is getting milked. I mean, I haven't seen any of that new stuff. I saw the first season of Mandalorian. It was pretty good. It was kind of cool. Most of the movies, I don't know. I haven't seen them. Most of them are just like, okay, they killed him off. They killed her off. She's dead. He's dead. Whatever. Oh, he's a good guy now. Oh, he's a bad guy now. I mean, it's the same thing. Story dice. Roll the story dice. Roll the story dice. Who knows? I don't know. My top favorite movies. Number one, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Not Johnny Depp, whatever the hell. Not the dude from Dune, Wonka. No, those things are crap. I love Johnny Depp, but he was like a serial killer in that movie. And they say that that movie was closer to the book. And I know that Dahl, the guy that wrote the book, hated Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory with Gene Wilder. But come on, Gene Wilder is Willy Wonka. And Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is that's my number one favorite movie of all time. I know it's kind of weird, but that's my number one. My number two, Tron. Period. Tron. I couldn't stand Legacy. They made Clue a villain. They made him a villain. What the flip? I thought we were going for perfection. Well, that doesn't mean that you become a villain and that you kill off all this and that. Ugh. Graphically, of course, visually, it was awesome. Whoa, the graphics, man, they're great. Story wise, I almost, in a way, and I know Ares, the new one, really flip flopped, but I almost, in a way, it's weird, like that better than Legacy. What's the second one? Legacy? Tron Legacy? Yeah. in a way. I guess it's probably because, again, spoiler, there's a segment close to the end where he's in the 80s grid. And I'm like, holy fuck, yes. Are you a bit? Yes. I'm like, oh my God, it's bit. Holy shit, dude. It's hot in here. Yeah, so Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Tron. Number three, it's kind of a toss up between Conan the Barbarian, not Conan the Destroyer. PU. Ah, that was crap. Conan the Barbarian, which has like one of the greatest soundtracks ever in any movie. And visually, people say that's a campy D&D D&D movie. What the? You don't know what the? Seriously? That was Schwarzenegger's first true Hollywood film, and I still think it's his best. I love Conan the Barbarian. Number three, but it's kind of a tie between Conan the Barbarian and Alien. Not Aliens, which I get. Aliens, you could compare Aliens to Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan. The second one's better than the first one. I get it. I get it. But Alien for me, I remember seeing Alien opening night, San Jose Century Theaters. They were dome theaters in San Jose. Years later, they were all torn down except for one to build some fucking mall or some shit. And Alien, day one, we got our seats were so shitty. We were dead center, but we were in the very last row. And right above us was the projector window, like 3 feet up. Okay? And I'll never forget. This is cool. When it comes to the chest burster, I kid you not. So you can see the entire audience because of the projector light, with the lighting of the projector. And in that scene, there's a lot of light. You're on the table and it's white. Everybody's wearing white. So for the most part, the audience was really fairly lit. Not like the lights are on, but fairly lit. And when that chest burster bursted from his chest, I kid you not, the entire theater, the entire theater, you even heard the thud. The entire theater went like that. And you heard the thud of people landing in their seats. The whole entire theater. Oh my God, I'll never forget that. That was cool. Alien. The Bride of Frankenstein. That's another one. I'm trying to think of like more recent movies, but I can't really think of too many. I go back to movies like 12 Angry Men. That's not a favorite movie, but 12 Angry Men. And, I dig Braveheart. I dig that. Um, there's a lot of cool movies. The movie industry is different now. I think the reason why I'm not really into going to the theater and movies now is like, I don't know. First of all, I'm so burnt out on the Marvel stuff. Oh my God. Just like Trek and Star Wars, you milk something so much. I mean, I don't have Disney, the Disney Channel. I don't know how many more Marvel movies and Marvel TV shows. And, I'm more from like, okay, Iron Man, okay, Hulk, okay, Thor, okay, another one, whatever the other one was. I don't remember, before Spider-Man, of course. And then you're thinking, as an old comic collector, from decades when I was a kid and all that, it was all Marvel for me. You're like, come on, man, when are you going to do the Avengers? Are you going to do the Defenders? No, they're lining up for the Avengers. Hulk, Iron Man, Thor, blippity blue, whatever. What are you going to do? And when they did Avengers, yes! And then when they did the next couple, it was like, cool. And then they did the Final War one or whatever that is. All right. But after that, I'm just like, okay, all right. Now they're doing this one, Iron Man 3 and Captain this and that one. And okay, I'm done. Yeah, I'm done. That and the fact that most movies are like action movies, tons of guns, and all this action and just guns and action. And Tom Cruise jumping from the thing and doing the thing and getting the thing. Tom Cruise and the thing and thing. I'd like to see Tom Cruise like play just for once, like legend, like do something that's not the angry young 60-year-old white Caucasian dude that's doing all this actiony shit. He's an angry young 60s dude. Dude, I'd like to see Tom Cruise like do something else. Like play a flaming homosexual man who has his own I don't know, his own makeup line, or he's a fashion designer and the world of fashion design, or maybe make him the Rain Man. You know, he's got, or maybe he's blind, or he's a librarian. No action, just like, somebody that's like a real person. I'm so sick of Tom Cruise, I can't even fucking tell you. It was sad when Val Kilmer passed away. That's terrible. But you just get burnt out on all the same shit over and over. All the action movies. I can't stand that crap. I know they say the new Predator movie is absolutely incredible. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I'm sure it's like super duper great. I'm sure it's super duper great. But I'm like, whatever. I mean, I don't know. You get to a point where you're like, there's truly only 7 storylines. You could tell, man, girl meets boy, boy meets that, blah, 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 whatever it is. I don't know. And then they're just rehashing the same stuff. I don't know. Years ago, when I was working on one of my books and I was interviewing all these actors and stuff, this is great. They remake movies, right? Like they're remaking 12 Angry Men. And I don't know, did they already make it? I don't know yet. But it's going to be called 12 Angry Jurors. I totally get it. Totally get that. That's cool. But why do they remake movies? Why do they remake movies? I'm going to be ending this probably in just a little bit. I think I've been going on for like an hour or two or something. I don't know. But anyways, why do they remake movies? I don't get it. Why do you have to remake movies? It just, I, really? Are you out of stories? I mean, I don't get it. Well, no, because those old movies are in black and white, and young people today think that black and white, is, color is far superior. Well, any photographer will tell you that that's the opposite. The superiority lies in lighting and black and white. Those are superior. I'm sorry, as an artist. Okay, those are superior. Okay, it's easier to do things in color. Anyways, one of the actors that I had interviewed was Earl Holliman. Earl Holliman starred, he was the cook in Forbidden Planet. Okay. He was the number 2 in Angie Dickinson's story, Policewoman, from the mid 70s, I believe, maybe early 80, I don't know. Earl Holliman. So in the interview with him, and now we're talking about the shows he worked on and all this stuff. It's somewhere we're talking about today's Hollywood, which they used to refer to it as the golden age. Like the older stuff was the golden age of Hollywood. I refer to today's Hollywood as the tin age of Hollywood. Anyways, I had asked Earl Holliman, you know, what's your take on this? Why are they remaking these movies? Why would you remake this classic? Why would you remake that? I'll never forget it. Earl Holliman said, the reason why they're remaking movies is because they're cowards. Wow, that's perfect, man. They're cowards. Now, that's not to say that there's not a lot of great uh, stories and movies that are really good, that aren't about the guns and the action and that same old bullshit. There's a lot of movies that are about the human condition. There's a lot of deep, really good art being created. I get that. Uh, yeah, the Oscars were tainted for me. That slap thing, I can't fucking watch that dude now. I have no respect for that dude. I don't give a shit what was going on in your life with your wife. I don't care anything about that. The Oscars is like a sacred thing. It's a sacred thing. And that dude, I don't want to see anything with that dude now. And he's suing the slappy. Can you believe that shit? That's fucking crap. I just today's Hollywood, I think it was Christopher Lee. Christopher Lee? Yeah, who played Saruman, right? Lord of the Rings. Christopher Lee. He said that most young actors now, they just want to be famous. They want to be famous. I want to be rich and famous. The glory and the fame and the celebrityism. It's not about the art. It's about being famous. Fuck that. Can you believe that shit? Now, obviously, there's a good amount of people that it's about the art. It's about the craft, about the craft, not about the celebrityism and all that stuff and all this bullshit. I saw some little video with Tom Hanks. I have a lot of respect for Tom Hanks. Him and his wife and the paparazzi and the fans are following them to the limo or whatever at some mall. And somebody like pushed Tom Hanks's wife to get to Tom. And she's like, hey, what the hell? And Tom Hanks is like, hey, don't fucking touch my. It was incredible to see Tom Hanks like that. And that's true. And that's the world we're living in, man. I mean, I'm sure there was a time in the 50s and 60s and 70s and maybe even the 80s where the fans and the paparazzi like respected people when they came out on the red carpet and whatever. And it's like, wow, it's Jimmy Stewart, and oh, it's blippity bloop or whatever. But now it's a totally different, man. They want autographs just to sell them on eBay and all this. It's a totally different world, man. And you've noticed I haven't even gone into the politics. Fuck that. Fuck that dude. Fucking A. That's all. God, look at the red. I'm on fire. I'm so angry. You don't want to make me angry. All right. And yes, I'm a huge Rush fan. Rush is my band. In 75, my bands at the time were Kiss and Queen. Kiss because literally in 75, 76, 77, Kiss was literally the hottest band completely 100%. There was this thing with Kiss. They were superheroes, Marvel characters, aliens, demons with guitars. You know, in our adolescence, you don't really think about this. All the songs are about sex. I mean, the song Love Gun is Paul Stanley writing about his dick. I mean, but as an adolescent, you're like, whatever, hot, hot, hotter than hell, whatever. But yeah, so my first bands were Kiss and Queen. I worked at a bakery, Sunrise Bakery, Blossom Hill, California, San Jose. And yeah, I remember I was 17. No, I got a job there when I was like 16, and I was a Kiss fan and Queen. Queen was my band and Kiss, mostly Kiss. And then when I was no, so my first concert was Cheap Trick opening for Kiss, 1977, San Francisco Cow Palace. Cheap Trick opening for Kiss, sometime in August. I don't remember the exact date, something like August 20th, but it was the day that Elvis Presley died. And Kiss, as an homage, played, I think, Hound Dog or something. I don't know. I remember that specifically, that was my first concert. And I mean, specifically that Elvis Presley died. I don't know where I'm going with this. Anyways, blah, blah, blah. So, like, right around 78, working at the bakery, making money, and buying albums. And I had, I was listening to like some Pink Floyd and probably Dark Side of the Moon. Yeah, Dark Side of the Moon. And I was listening to some Genesis with Peter Gabriel. And Yes, I bought like Yes, Closer to the Edge or something like that. So I was like learning about progressive rock. And then a friend of mine, Mark, turned me on to Jeff Beck and Tommy Bolin. And I was like, whoa, what is this? Jeff Beck, what is this? And I was like a sponge. And it was like, wow. And Kiss started to, I was getting out of my adolescence, and Kiss was like, meet me in the ladies' room, and just, I mean, you know, I'm not knocking Kiss. There's a huge Kiss fan base. And a few weeks, like a month ago or whatever, when Ace Frehley died, that was terrible. Should have been Gene Simmons. Okay. Anyways, so I was getting out of the Kiss phase. I was out of the Kiss phase, and then I'll be off this in a second because I'll go on and on about Rush for fucking hours, dude. Um, but I rode my bike, which was like 3 miles away from work. And one day, and there was a bicycle shop in the same little shopping center thing there with the bakery. And one day I had this problem with the derailleur, and I need to have work done. So I took my bike into the place, and they're going to work on it. And I was going to have to walk home. And Kirk, who I worked with, was a total dick. Years later, he died of an OD. That's sad. Still, he was a dick. But one day, for some reason, Kirk was nice. And he said, dude, I'll give you a ride home if you want. So he was going to give me a ride home in his Fiat, his yellow Fiat. with an 8-track tape player. Okay? Obviously, this is before CDs and USBs with MPEGs and all this kind of creepy crap. Okay? 8-track player. And Kurt starts the car and he's like, "What do you want to listen to?" And I said, "I don't know, whatever." And he says, "How about some Rush?" And I said, "Who's Rush?" And he went, really? He reached over, grabbed an 8-track, and in the 8-track tape player, he put in Rush 2112. From that moment on, I was like, holy fuck, what is this? Oh my God, this is incredible. My ears were like, what the fuck? Look on the back of the thing or whatever. There's 3 dudes? There's 3 dudes? That's it? So this guy plays bass and sings. That's the drummer. Holy fuck, the drumming. Holy shit, dude. And a guitarist. That's it. No rhythm guitar, no lead guitar, no just vocalist, and then a bass player. And no, 3 dudes. So we drive home. The meek shall inherit the earth. And then the vocals come up. And I'm just like, I completely 100% got it. Completely got it. Holy crap. Rush. Oh my God. We got to my house and he's like, "Okay, we're here." I'm like, "No, dude, I want to listen to this." "No, I got to go." Oh, crap. Next day, paycheck, went out, cassette tapes. I bought 2112 and Fly By Night. I had no idea what, at the time, the new album was Hemispheres, 1978. I had no idea about Rush. I didn't know anything about Rush. And unfortunately, the cassettes did not have the lyrics. At least mine didn't. So, I'm lyrically, some of it, think about the average. I thought he was saying, think about the avalanche. I don't know. Anyway, so the next paycheck, I went out and bought Farewell with the Kings and Hemispheres. And then from that moment on, it was just Rush. Now, I grew up with 3 elder siblings. From back east, it was Motown, and it was bands like Jimi Hendrix, Led Zeppelin, King Crimson, Janis Joplin, Albert whatever, Joe Cocker, things of this nature. And the Beatles. I don't know, maybe the Stones. I never knew them as listening to the Stones, but the Beatles. I remember being a little kid of like 4 years old and hearing Day Tripper. That's a memory I have, whatever. And so when I was a teenager and I had my own music, Kiss and Queen, it was also the Beatles in the background. I remember being like 16 and, Let It Be and whatever. That was the new album or whatever, but just Rush was the band. Look, I had the fucking pinball machine behind me. There's a rare, dang it, Permanent Waves uh, promo print. That thing's worth hundreds of bucks. Mine has pinholes and shit. Whatever. It's probably worth $50. Just so much stuff. I can't even tell you, man. Oh my God. Oh my God. I had a meet and greet on the R30 tour on my 42nd birthday in 2004. Getty and Alex. Awesome pictures. Holy crap. One of the best days of my life. Anyways, for me, Rush is a band. And I grew up being a Rush fan back then. You'd be at a party, people would be talking about bands and stuff. What's your favorite band? What's your favorite band? Oh, AC/DC. Oh, I like the Cars, man. Oh, Journey, Foreigner, Styx, AC/DC, Styx, Foreigner, Pat Benatar, Blondie, the Cars, AC/DC, Rush. Oh, I can't stand Rush. It was always this. I hate that singer, Geddy Lee. I hate that singer. Oh, but the drummer, he's awesome. That's the greatest drummer. Fuck, I can't tell you how many fucking times. First tour I ever went to, okay, yeah, let's not do the Rush thing, but briefly. First tour I ever went to, I thought it was Hemispheres. It wasn't. It was Permanent Waves. San Francisco, Cow Palace. Awesome. Opening band, I don't even remember. Whatever. Opening band, whatever. Might have been Pat Travers. I don't even remember. That was my first tour. I've been to 30. I've been to 14 or 15 tours, 30 shows. I've seen Rush 30 times. Had a meet and greet. And Neil Peart wrote a appreciation essay in one of my books. Boom. Holy crap. Man. So I'm looking forward to this 50-something tour. It was a dreadful day on January 7th, 2020, when Neil Peart passed away from a brain tumor that was a secretive thing. That was a terrible day. Even my brother, who is a has been a professional bass player for years, who is the opposite of me. He's not a metalhead. He's not progressive rock, any of that. He's funk and R&B. I have a lot of respect for my brother as a bass player. He's been had bands for years, his own bands and all that stuff. The day that Neil Peart he never liked Rush. He never liked any of my music. Made fun of me when I was a Kiss fan and all that stuff. Uh, the only thing we had in common was the Beatles. Of course, I'm a John Lennon fan. He's Paul McCartney. Everything we're the opposite on. Anyways, the day Neil Peart died, my brother called me, crying on the phone. So sorry, man. I heard about Neil. I can't believe it, dude. I know how much Rush means to you. And me, I'm crying. I know, dude. It's fucking shitty, man. I can't believe it. Even my own brother. That was really touching for me. And for us fans, it was really dreadful. And for Kiss fans, losing Ace Frehley. Ace Frehley was my first guitar hero, man. You know, that was the first concert I ever saw. I went and saw the reunion tour when they played San Jose in '96, the very first reunion tour. When Ace and Paul came out over those elevated platforms into the audience, I was in the fifth row, kind of on the right a little bit from center, and Ace Frehley flicks one of his picks. It goes right down to me. And I still have Ace Frehley's pick. A friend of mine said, "Oh, you should put that on eBay, make some money." No, dude. What money is money? Fuck that. Yeah. So when Ace passed away, that was really dreadful. He fell and had an accident, had brain bleeding, and that's terrible, man. But yeah, when Neil Peart passed away. Anyway, so, I get it for a decade. The interesting thing is, and I'm going to end with this in a moment with the Rush thing. The interesting thing is that I saw the last tour, I was 3 shows. I was in the San Jose show, and I was at the Inglewood, and I was at the Forum in LA. I was at that last show, and that was the 30th show I'd ever seen of Rush. And Neil Peart never in any of those shows ever passed the border of his drums. Never until that last show. And when Neil Peart passed, instead of just standing at the drums and waving right, waving left, waving center, and then booking backstage, and that was it. He was embarrassed to be famous. That's his thing. He wasn't angry at the fans or anything. It was uncomfortable for him. I get it. Only Geddy and Alex did the meet and greets and whatnot. But when Neil passed that border, I was close to shock, like, oh shit, this is the end. And they didn't bill it as the, farewell tour. It was the R40 tour. Actually, it was more like R40, 45 or 43 or something, whatever. Rush first started as a band in '68. When they first started, they had John Rutsey on drums. They released Rush. I'm going to be ending. They released Rush, their first album. But John Rutsey he was a very bad diabetic. He had very, very bad diabetes and was a partier, a drinker. And Ray Daniels, Rush's manager, the entire 50 something years, whatever, said, he's not going to make it. He can't go on tour. We need a new drummer. And so Rush was going to be touring in a couple of weeks in the United States. And they auditioned drummers. And Neil was the third drummer. And they were like, holy fuck. And Neil Peart joined the band. So Rush started with a different drummer. And then Neil Peart the whole time. Had Neil Peart not joined Rush, they still would have been just a straightforward, most likely. Alex and Geddy say that they still wanted to go more progressive like Yes. But they never would have had Bytorn the Snow Dog, The Necromancer, Fountain of Lamnef, Xanadu, Cygnus X1, Book 1 and Book 2, which was on 2 different albums, 2112, Natural Science, Tom Sawyer, Limelight. It goes on and on. They never would have had any of that stuff. It would have had a different drummer. It would have been different. And Neil Peart was like, they called him the professor. That dude read books all the time. That dude was literature minded. Okay? And he was a huge Rod Serling fan. And they dedicated Caress of Steel to Rod Serling. Twilight Zone song on the next album when he died. Rod Serling died. Blah, 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 blah. They started with a different drummer. And now, next year in June, okay, Rush announced a couple months ago, that they were going to go on tour. They finally found some closure, and they wanted to give back something to the fans, and they wanted to pay homage to their very good friend and collaborator for nearly 50 years. And so I have a lot of respect for them, and they have a new drummer, Anita Niles, and apparently I've watched some of her stuff, and she's incredible. And she's going to be their new drummer. Rush started with a different drummer. They are ending with another drummer. I'm thinking that this is going to be a farewell tour and an homage to Neil, and they're going to close the book, and that's fine and dandy. If they do a record, that's great. You know, the point that I was kind of trying to get at is that when they did that last tour, and Neil came out from the behind his border of the drums and went over and tapped on Alex and tapped on Geddy, and they were both surprised and they took a bow together. We all knew that was the end. 2 months later, he announced in some drummer magazine that he was retired. So he was done with Rush. And then 5 years later, fortunately, he passed away. And Rush had 10 years to find closure. You never find closure with a true loss. And wow, it's really getting pixelated now because it's darker. Maybe I should turn the light on. Whatever. We're about to end this in a few minutes, I think. Anyways, whatever. I went the Rush thing. I promised. Well, I didn't promise. I wasn't going to go there. Anyway, so they got a new drummer. They're going to do a tour, and I'm all for it. It's going to be great. The ticket prices were crap. They're way too high, and I'm way in the back, but I just want to be there. I'm seeing 2 shows in June, and they're opening at the last place they played at. That's pretty cool. And they're going to have a lot of footage of Neil. And also, Geddy has said they're going to bring a 4th player in to play some keyboards on some of the keyboard songs. He's still going to be doing keyboards on Tom Sawyer and Subdivisions, a couple of the main ones, but it'll give him more of a chance to like back away from the keyboards and come over with Alex and have more camaraderie. I think that's really cool. And Anita Niles as a drummer, I've watched some of her stuff. She's absolutely incredible. I guess she's a jazz drummer, rock drummer, and she's just really the shit. So I think that's really cool. And I think that's cool they have a chick drummer. Hell yeah. Chicks rock. Chicks rule. Okay? So I'm looking forward to it. They're playing in June at the last place they ever played at. And then I have 2 shows at the same place they played at, last show, and then a show in October in San Jose. And I think that's going to be the end. So when Rush had their final tour afterwards, and Neil retired, and then he passed away, Alex and Geddy were saying, that's it, we're done. We don't want to tour anymore. There's no more Rush. We don't want to tour anymore. Oh, wait, before Neil had died, they were saying, we don't want to tour anymore. Neil's retired. I went the Rush thing. Neil's retired. We're not touring. We don't want to tour anymore. I was like, why don't you just do what the Beatles did? You stop touring, but you make records. Because the Beatles made like 4 or 5 records, or 6 records, whatever, or 4 or 5 records after they stopped touring. They said, fuck this. We can't even hear ourselves playing. So why didn't Rush just make an album, man? You know? I don't know. Anyway, so I'm looking forward to that. We talked about gaming. I gave you some stuff about the past. We talked about some movies. And unfortunately, I started to talk about Rush. And there you go. So I'm going to end this. I never thought I'd do one of these vlogs, but I figured out how to do it on the PlayStation. It's getting really pixelated now. And I think I've gone on and on and on and on and on and on and on. I repeat myself when under stress. 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 You know what? I do like it. I do think it's good. If you know King Crimson, you know what the hell I'm saying there. Anyways, thank you for people for subscribing to my tiny, minuscule, microscopic channel. Sometimes I get Italianisms and Klingonisms come out of me and I get all pissed off and shit at a game. Maybe some people find some entertainment value in that. I don't know. Maybe people find some entertainment value for whatever small reason in my comical situations or whatever. That's cool. I just appreciate that like 200 and so over 200 people. Even that, again, I was talking about, I have 1 million subscribers. I have 10,000 subscribers. I'm so thankful about it. Dude, I'm just blown away that over 200 people are subbed to me. That there, like, completely blows me away. I'm so humbled by that. And maybe a number of people don't even watch this stuff anymore, and they just still have me, and they're not even on their YouTube thing anymore, or whatever. And, sometimes people unsubscribe because, I usually stream every day or so, or every other day, and then suddenly I don't stream for 10 days, and then maybe I lose somebody, and that's fine. I never ask people to sub. I never ask people to like. You're going to do what you want to do. I'm just thankful that you guys are hanging out with me once in a while. That's really cool. For me, this is a hobby. It's just a side thing I do. Really, I think the reason why I do it is to hang out with you guys and be cool, and you guys are cool. And really, one thing I like is I like, like showing off games that I like. That's really what I enjoy about it and why I do it. And I haven't been doing the comedy bits and the music stuff anymore because my PC's down and I'm not doing editing stuff. So it just turned into a gaming channel, and that's been really fun. And maybe in some minuscule microscopic way, maybe one person that subs like, wow, I really dig that game he's streaming. I'm going to buy that. And then a little bit of money goes to that developer, and maybe in a tiny minuscule microscopic way, it helps that developer. And I think that's really cool. That's really, for me, what it's really about. Supporting developers that make fun, imaginative, creative games that don't cost tons of money, that don't have hype, and they're cool. And I like streaming that stuff. So there you go. And I'm going to end this first vlog of me blabbering on for a couple hours, a bunch of creepy crap and whatnot. And now we're super pick. What would happen? Hold on a second. What would happen if I come over here? I'll be back. I'll be right back. Just relax, yeah. What happens if I do that? What happens if I do that? Make it. Oh my god! Oh my god, that's way too bright. Let's pixelate it. Oh my god, the light, the bright. I don't. That's terrible. Okay, whatever. I'm gonna turn that back off because that's too fucking bright. Hold on a second. I'm gonna end this in a second, anyways. Okay, turn that back off. Yeah. How about if you come over here? Why are you doing this now? What does it matter? What does it matter? I don't know. No, it doesn't do shit. Shit and Shinola. That was a good Ween album. Okay, anyways. Yeah, in the music industry, there's no music industry anymore. It's gone. It's gone, man. It's gone, dude. I would just say that I'm from the generation where there were these people and they wielded these items. They were called musical, I'm being sarcastic. They were called musical instruments. And these people that wielded them, that were really skillful at using them, they were called magicians. No, wait, they were called musicians. Yeah, that's it. And some of these musicians would join together and group together. And they would join these things we used to call bands. And they'd go in these places and they'd play this music. And there wasn't auto tune and buttons. You just push a thing and you do a drum beat and all this shit. No, you actually had to be really talented at these musical instruments as musicians in these bands in creating music. And the singers, like, really were singers. There was no auto tune. There was no, yeah, yeah. That's my generation, bands. Now, not so much. There's still metal. There's still rock. There's still all this stuff. There's still bands. But to me, it just seems like it's in the minority. And this thing with Spotify and all these things where, bands aren't getting paid any money, royalties and all this stuff. I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not going to talk about genres that to me just really aren't music because really what people are going to like what they like and whatnot. But yeah, the music industry, it's just, to me, it's gone. I don't even buy records any. What's the CDs? I don't even buy. I don't. Yeah. Mm, mm. Meh. Anyways, all right. Well, thank you guys for having subscribed to my tiny, minuscule, microscopic channel. I sure appreciate it. Once in a while, I take a break from streaming. Yesterday, I kind of raged out a little bit on Demio, D&D, Battle March, Battle whatever. Been waiting for that game forever, and I kept rolling fails and kept rolling fails, and all this bullshit was happening, and it really pissed me off. And then I sent some messages, I'm going to stop streaming. And I may take a wee bit of a break. Bear with me. I don't know. I got some creepy crap that's going on in my life that's really shitty. And everyone has creepy crap in their lives that's really shitty. I totally get it. I'm not unique in that at all. But when it happens, it's fucked, man. And just too much stress can fuck you over. So thanks for having subscribed to my minuscule microscopic channel and for hanging out once in a while. I sure appreciate it. It's super cool. I hope you guys still hang out with me in the future. Come what may, I'll still try to stream. And I most likely will. I mean, this whole upcoming weekend, I thought I was going to do all kinds of marathons on the new Demio and whatnot. And there's a new DLC for Lords of the Rings Journeys and not Journeys in Middle Earth. Sorry, it's a tabletop game. The Moria game. That's awesome. There's a DLC on that. I'm still gaming, but once in a while I just got to take a break. Anyways, I'm repeating myself. Thank you so much for hanging out. I sure appreciate. I've had support from a handful of guys that are always in here, and you guys are just super cool and super nice to me and so patient. And I always say things like, God, I'm such a dummy. You know, why can't I get this puzzle? No, dude, I can't even the comment. I can't even understand it. What the fuck? Give yourself some credit. Those kind of things happen. I get it. I'm not sure about any games that are coming out that I'll newer games that'll be coming out that I'll be streaming or whatever. But again, thanks for subscribing. Quit saying that. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for the support. Thanks for viewing this crazy vlog thing. I've never done one of these. I sure appreciate it. I'm Stewie Dark. I'm Invisible Lid. And remember to take care of yourselves because life can be a hard wrench of reality. All right, peace out. We'll see you on the next one. Let's see if I can figure out how to end this silly thing. I don't know. Here you go. It's time to end this silly vlog of this thing that you were doing. Don't start doing opera. Holy shit, where did that come from? I don't know.